One moment, I'm sleeping in my crappy rental apartment like a normal person, and the next I wake up inside what I can only describe as a sci-fi coffin. My body was freezing cold, my brain was mush, and the second the lid popped open, sunlight hit me like a flashbang grenade. Very welcoming. Thanks, universe. Through my squinting eyes, I could make out a figure standing over me. A little girl. White messy hair, golden eyes, dirty oversized clothes, and, hold on, round ears on top of her head. Like a mouse. Because she is a mouse. A mouse person. Cool. Cool. This is fine. Before I could even process the whole mouse-eared child staring at me like I'm a zoo exhibit situation, my stomach decided to stage a rebellion. I leaned over the edge of the coffin and threw up a tidal wave of acid water. Classy first impression. My stomach then let out a growl so loud it probably registered on seismographs. The mouse girl, bless her tiny heart, immediately pulled out some purple berries from her clothes and offered them to me. I didn't even hesitate. Could be poison? Don't care. Hungry. The berries were actually pretty good. Sweet and sour. Gave me enough energy to finally stand up and take stock of my situation. Situation report. I'm wearing a blue shirt and shorts. My arms look like twigs wrapped in skin. I just climbed out of a high-tech silver hibernation pod in the middle of a forest, and a mouse child barely reaching my chest is the only living soul around. Where is this? I asked, using my last functioning brain cells. This is the Rim world, she said, looking at me like I was the weird one. The Rim world. Sure. Why not? She told me her name was Clover. I told her mine was Jiang Ling, which she repeated very carefully like it was some kind of tongue twister. Adorable. And then, right on cue, a cold robotic female voice rang inside my head. Detected host encountering first colonist. Rim world colony building system activated. A giant blue holographic map popped up in front of my eyes. I could see the forest around us, a plain to the east, a little stream, even an abandoned wooden cabin. Two tiny cartoon figures stood in the center, one white-haired mouse, one black-haired human. It looked like a game interface, because of course my life is a game now. I tapped on Clover's little cartoon icon and nearly choked. Shooting, level 16. Fighting, level 12. Medical, level 11. Cooking, none. Cannot cook. At all. This tiny mouse girl who barely clears 140 centimeters is basically a walking weapon who would starve to death trying to boil water. Then I check my own stats. Shooting, level 0. Fighting, level 3. Building, level 10. Social, level 12. Intelligence, level 0. 0 intelligence. My intelligence stat is literally 0. I was about to have a full emotional breakdown when the system clarified that intelligence here means knowledge of this world, and since I know nothing about the Rim world, it starts at 0. It's not saying I'm stupid. Sure, system. Sure. That's very comforting. Meanwhile, Clover was watching me poke at invisible screens in the air with a deeply concerned expression, her little mouse ears twitching nervously. She's been surviving alone through an entire winter in this place. She finally found someone who can talk and doesn't seem dangerous, and that someone is currently grinning at nothing and jabbing his fingers at empty space like a lunatic. I can see it in her eyes. She's thinking, please don't be broken. Please don't be broken. Don't worry, Clover. I'm not broken. I'm just a 0 intelligence colonist with twig arms and a building permit. We're gonna be fine. Clover waved her tiny hand in front of my face. Are you okay? I snapped out of my system poking trance and tried to act normal. You still need to gather berries? She nodded. The stored berries are all gone. And the ones I just picked. You ate all of them. Guilt. Activated. She looked me up and down. Emphasis on the up because I'm like a whole head and a half taller than her. And basically said, you look like you'd die in 2 days out here by yourself. You can stay with me for a while if you want. She's not wrong. I would absolutely die in 2 days out here by myself. Thanks, I said, trying to salvage some dignity. I'll help you gather berries. Also, I can see where all the berry bushes are around us. Her golden eyes lit up like little suns. You can see where they are? Is that your planet's technology? Yep. Totally normal technology from my planet. Nothing weird going on here. Calling the system technology isn't technically lying, right? Right? On the way to the berry bushes, Clover gave me the world-building dump. Turns out we're on the Rim world, the most edge of the universe, middle of nowhere planet you can imagine. No government. No rules. Just a bunch of colonists from different planets and star systems all thrown together. Refugees, explorers, survivors. Everyone ends up here for different reasons. Oh, and the year? It's 5500 AD. I went from a crappy rental apartment to the year 5500. My landlord must be furious about the unpaid rent. The calendar here is wild too. A full year is only 60 days, split into 4 phases of 15 days each: green, red, amber, and white, for spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Today is day 7 of the green phase. Still a bit cold, but manageable. Using my system map, I led Clover straight to the nearest berry bush. Her face absolutely lit up. You actually found it. Her little mouse tail started wagging under her clothes. Wagging. Like a happy puppy. Except she's a mouse. A lethal, combat-trained mouse who gets excited about berries. Then the system decided to drop another gift on me. Decompose function unlocked. Automatically breaks down nearby objects into usable materials. Requires certain prerequisites. I looked at the berry bush and mentally activated it. The whole bush started glowing white. Clover's reaction was instant. She leaped backward, shoved me behind her, and whipped out a dagger from absolutely nowhere. Blade gleaming. Eyes sharp. Full combat mode. This girl went from berry picking to assassination stance in 0.2 seconds. I patted her on the head without thinking. Relax, it's just my, technology. The glow faded. The bush was gone. All the berries were sitting neatly on the ground, perfectly separated from the plant. Clover's cheeks turned pink. She realized she'd overreacted and quietly lowered her dagger. Don't pat my head, she mumbled. It's rude. Noted. Do not head pat the tiny combat mouse. Very rude. Also very cute when embarrassed. We hit 2 more berry bushes after that. By the time we were done, both of us were carrying armfuls of berries. Clover was so happy. I squinted into little crescents, humming some tune I've never heard, tail swishing back and forth. On the walk back, I finally asked the question that had been bugging me. Why did you take in a complete stranger? She flicked her thin tail and said, very matter-of-factly, because you don't look like a bad person. Also, you're unarmed and weak. You're not a threat to me. I glanced at her level 12 fighting stat. Then at my level 3. I had no comeback. Then she added, softer, and surviving alone is lonely. Someone like you is hard to come by. Loneliness. Makes sense. Humans are social animals after all. Wait, do mouse people count as humans? Well, mice are social animals too, so the point stands. Clover pushed through some bushes, and we stepped out onto an open meadow with a stream running through it. Right next to the stream sat a beat-up little wooden cabin, clearly abandoned for ages. I found this place by chance, Clover said, pushing open the creaky door. Whoever built it left it behind. It keeps the rain and wind out. She set the berries down in the corner of the cabin. Home sweet home. A broken shack by a stream, a mountain of purple berries, and a tiny mouse warrior who thinks I'm too pathetic to be dangerous. She's not wrong. But still. Ouch. I followed Clover into the cabin and looked around. No furniture. No decorations. Nothing. Just a pile of food in the corner and a layer of dry grass on the floor for sleeping. The whole place was so narrow that 2 people standing side by side would basically fill it. I've seen toilets with more floor space. I looked at Clover, then at the floor, then back at Clover. So, we just sleep here? Squeezed together? I was fully prepared to volunteer for outdoor sleeping duty. She already did me a massive favor by not leaving me to die. I wasn't about to be picky, but Clover just smacked her own forehead. All right, 2 people means we need more dry grass, and she ran outside to gather more. That was not the concern I was raising, Clover. But okay, she clearly has 0 problems with the arrangement. So who am I to complain? At least I'm not sleeping outside. While she was gone, I sat down and started poking through the system properly. It's called a colony building system, right? So where are my colony building rewards? Give me a gun at least. Something. I had to dig through menus for ages before anything showed up. This stingy system literally won't give you anything unless you go looking for it. Detected host arrival on Rim World. Received. Basic workbench blueprint, skill trainer, fighting, X1. Detected second colonist in host colony. Received. Basic furniture blueprint, skill trainer, shooting, X1. You had these the whole time and didn't tell me? The blueprints burned themselves straight into my brain the moment I claimed them. Workbenches, tool crafting tables, stone cutting tables, butchering tables, all the basics. The furniture blueprint gave me beds, bookshelves, that sort of thing. My intelligence stat also went up to level 1. One whole level. From knowing nothing to knowing almost nothing. Progress. Of course, knowing how to build stuff doesn't mean I have the materials. Still gotta find everything myself. Thanks for nothing, system. Now, the skill trainers. Those were actually interesting. Little white brick-shaped gadgets. I asked the system how to use one, and it said to just stick it on the back of my head. So I did. The thing clamped onto my skull with mechanical claws and sent a jolt of pain through my brain. Then boom. Memories that weren't mine came flooding in. I was a martial arts master, every move fluid and powerful, dodging and countering like it was breathing. When it was over, my fighting skill had jumped from level 3 to level 5. My actual body was still a wet noodle, of course. The knowledge was in my head, but my arms were still twigs. Knowing a flying roundhouse kick means nothing when your legs can barely handle stairs. I used the shooting trainer next. Same process, clamp, pain, memory flood. Shooting went from 0 to level 3. I now have the combat knowledge of a guy who's never touched a gun, but has dreamed about touching guns very intensely. After both trainers were spent, I decomposed them into raw materials. Got some iron, silver, and a few small parts. Simple construction. Good to know. Right on time. Clover came back carrying a huge armful of dry grass. Is this enough? She asked. Plenty. Thank you. I spread out the grass while the sky outside turned dark. Then I brought up my real plan. Do you have any plans for tomorrow? She blinked. If we need food, I find food. If we need herbs, I pick herbs. Maybe find something useful along the way. A survival routine with zero variety. No wonder she was lonely. What if we build a new house? I said, smiling. Her eyes sparked for a second, then dimmed. I've thought about it, but I don't know how to build one. The longing in her voice. This girl has been sleeping in a glorified shed through an entire winter and dreaming about a real house she couldn't build. I can't, I said. I can't promise anything fancy, but it'll be way better than this place. Before I got yanked into this world, I was a civil engineering worker back on Earth. Lost the job after 2 years because the industry tanked. Spent my remaining days lying in my apartment burning through savings and unemployment benefits. And that's when the universe decided to yeet me into the year 5500. At least my construction skills are finally useful again. Clover's face slowly lit up with the purest excitement I've seen from her yet. Tomorrow, if you're free, let's do it together, I said. Yes, she nodded so hard her ears bounced. Whatever you need, just tell me. Tomorrow. For now, let's sleep. My head had been foggy and heavy since climbing out of that hibernation pod, and I was finally hitting the wall. Consciousness was slipping away fast. An unemployed construction worker and a tiny combat mouse, sleeping on grass in a broken shack, planning to build a house tomorrow. This is my life now. Year 5500. Day 7. Let's go. Clover crawled into the cabin and took the spot against the wall. I scratched my head awkwardly. Look, I've been teleported 3,000 years into the future to an alien wasteland planet, and that I can handle. But sleeping next to a girl for the first time? That's where my brain short-circuits. Whatever. She doesn't care. I squeezed into the narrow space, keeping as much distance as possible, and lay down on the grass bed. It was hard. Like rock hard. Couldn't sleep. Too much happened today. Woke up in a sci-fi coffin, got adopted by a mouse girl, received a colony management system, learned I have the intelligence of a newborn in this world. Normal Tuesday. How am I even supposed to develop a colony? Just keep recruiting people? With what appeal? Come join us. We have berries and a toilet-sized shack. Then I felt warmth on my arm. Looked down and saw Clover had latched onto it in her sleep, snuggling close like I was a body pillow. There was a little smile on her face. Must be having a nice dream. 0. Defense. Against me. 0. I mean, I get why I trust her. She saved my life and I own literally nothing worth stealing. But what reason does a Seichi have to trust me? Staring at her peaceful sleeping face, all my racing thoughts just quieted down. And before I knew it, I was out. I woke up at dawn. Tried to sneak out without disturbing Clover, but her mouse ears twitched and she was instantly awake. Already morning, she mumbled. Barely. You can sleep more. She shook her head and sat up. Morning or not, doesn't matter. Aren't we building a house today? This girl. Ready to go. We stepped outside and cold wind slapped me in the face. I was still wearing that thin blue shirt. Very appropriate for early spring in the wilderness. Love it. Clover munched on a berry and looked up at me. How do we build a house? I walked up to a tree and placed my hand on it. Decompose. Only harvested wood can be decomposed. Yeah, figures. The system did say there were prerequisites for the decompose function. Can't just vaporize a living tree. Do you have an axe? I asked. Clover disappeared so fast she left a blur behind and came back seconds later holding a battered old axe. I found this a while ago. I use it to chop firewood. I took the axe, turned to the tree, swung with everything I had, and boing. The impact vibrated through my skeleton so hard, I almost launched the axe into orbit. My twig arms went completely numb. Right. My arms are made of paper and sadness. Forgot about that. I'll chop, Clover said, already taking the axe from me with a look that clearly said, please stop before you hurt yourself. I handed it over without a word. Humiliating? Yes. But survival isn't the time for ego. This tiny girl who barely reaches my chest chopped down a full-grown tree in minutes. Minutes. Meanwhile, I nearly cried swinging an axe once. I need to work out. Desperately. This is embarrassing on a molecular level. The second the tree hit the ground, I rushed over and slapped my hand on it. Decompose. White light swallowed the entire trunk. When it faded, perfectly cut lumber was lying all over the ground. Wait, that's not decomposing. That's processing. The system literally turned a raw tree into building materials. I picked up a piece and tried again. Decompose. The wood morphed into a perfect sphere. My eyes lit up. I can shape the wood into whatever I want. Custom cuts, exact dimensions, any form I need. The system handles it all. Building a house just went from painful week-long project to actually doable in a day. Clover was speechless for a moment. Then it clicked in her head too, and her face broke into the most excited grin. I'll go chop more trees. She zoomed off with the axe. I grabbed an armful of lumber and got to work. Nothing fancy, just something bigger and better than that shack. As long as the roof stays up and two people can move without bumping into each other, I'm calling it a win. I used the iron from yesterday's decomposed skill trainers to make nails through the system. No hammer? Grabbed a rock. Good enough. And then I just built. Hands moving, brain calculating, system assisting. It felt like being back at work. Before I got laid off, I mean. Civil engineering muscle memory kicked in hard. Half a day later, the frame of the new cabin was already standing. I collapsed next to it, gasping for air. My body is useless. Half a day of work, and I'm done. Clover handed me berries and stared at the nearly finished house with sparkling eyes. The wood the system processed had this clean yellowish-white color, making the whole thing look 100 times better than that gloomy old shack. The inside was actually spacious. You could fit furniture in there. You could walk around without bumping into walls. I'm turning that old shack into a toilet. That's its destiny now. I glanced at Clover, and her tail was wagging so fast, it was practically a propeller. She loved it. She absolutely loved it. Seeing her that happy made me happy too. First genuinely good feeling since waking up in that coffin. I popped the last berry in my mouth, stood up, and got ready to finish the job. Boom. A massive explosion echoed across the sky. I looked up. Something had detonated high above us, leaving a trail of smoke and fire spreading across the blue sky like fireworks. That can't be good. Are colonists fighting a war up there? How are they shooting things in the sky? Then I saw it. A white streak falling out of the explosion like a comet, slamming straight into the forest not far from us. The system helpfully chimed in with an alert. Attention, fallen angel, fallen angel. Fallen angel. Sure, why not? Day 2 on Rim World, and we're getting biblical. I opened the map and spotted a weird little figure in the forest where the thing crashed. Wait, that's a person? Something fell nearby, Clover said, already scanning the treeling. This happens a lot on Rim World. Sometimes you can find useful supplies at the crash site. Want to check it out? She looked at me for the call. I nodded. Off we went. The system map guided us right to the spot. There was a steaming crater in the ground, still radiating heat. Clover held me back and crept forward first. She peeked over the edge of the crater, and her whole face went blank. Clover? What is it? I walked up and looked down. and my brain stopped working. Lying in the crater was a girl. An impossibly beautiful girl. Ice blue hair spread out around her like frozen flowers. She was wearing a white lab coat, shredded to pieces, skin showing everywhere. And on her back were wings. Massive white feathered wings, bigger than her entire body. There was even a faintly glowing golden halo flickering above her head. An actual, literal angel, covered in blood. Her white feathers soaked red. I'd noticed the wings and halo on the map, which is why the icon looked weird. But the map can't show faces, so I was not prepared for. Gorgeous angel crash-landed from the sky. Clover snapped out of it first and jumped into the crater to check her injuries. I followed. How bad? Very bad. Clover's face was dead serious. Multiple fractures, too many external wounds to count, possible organ damage. She needs emergency treatment. I could see it myself. Gashes everywhere, some ugly enough to make me wince. I'm a normal guy from a peaceful era. I've never seen this much blood in my life. I turned to ask Clover whether we should save her, but Clover was already turning to me with the same question. Should we save her? She's asking for my opinion? I'm the leader here. Okay, let me check the stats first. Colony development opportunity? Yes, but if this angel's combat stats are higher than Clover's, we might have a problem when she wakes up. I pulled up her panel. Lucia Electra. Race Marilla. Shooting, level 6. Fighting, level 3. Fighting level 3. Same as mine. This angel is as combat useless as I am. But then I hit the last line. Intelligence, level 20, 20. Out of 20. Max level. Double star talent rating. My intelligence is 1. Clover's is 4. This angel is a walking encyclopedia. Save her, I said, without a single millisecond of hesitation. Clover immediately started field treatment. Her medical skill at level 11 was our only hope here. No bandages or cloth available, so she ripped strips from the angel's already destroyed lab coat. Wasn't enough. I tore off chunks of my own shirt sleeves and handed them over. That barely stopped the bleeding. I picked up the angel and we ran back to base. Clover's stronger than me, but she's too small. Those giant wings made the angel impossible for her to carry. Holding the angel, two things became very clear. 1. Her body was absurdly light. 2. Her wings were absurdly heavy. How does she live like this? How does she even walk? Also, she fell from the sky. Like, from up where the explosion happened. That high. Into the ground. And she's not dead. Her body must be way tougher than it looks. Back at base, Clover sprinted off to gather medicinal herbs. I carried the angel into the, let me rephrase, into the old cabin. Not the toilet. The old cabin. Which I am definitely not calling a toilet anymore, because that would be disrespectful to our patient. The wings were so massive that she alone filled up the entire space that used to fit me and Clover together. She was just lying there, a pure white angel stuffed into a dirty wooden box. Looked like a coffin. I stood outside the cabin, staring at her for a moment, thinking. Then I stepped forward, whispered, sorry about this, and reached toward her flawless body, specifically toward her wing. I plucked one feather. She didn't react at all. Still unconscious. The feather was as long as my palm. Soft, flexible, surprisingly strong. This would make an amazing blanket material. I looked down at my shirt. Between the sleeves I ripped off for bandages and the general state of things, this shirt had basically no warming ability left. One breeze and I was shivering like a wet chihuahua. I'm going to get sick at this rate. I need actual clothes. My eyes drifted to the angel's blood-stained clothes under the lab coat. No, absolutely not. I'm planning to recruit this girl into my colony. If she wakes up and finds out I stripped her while she was unconscious, any trust we could build would be obliterated. I'll tough it out. My body is fine. Probably. Hopefully. Day 2 summary. Built half a house. Witnessed a sky battle. Rescued an angel from a crater. And I'm slowly freezing to death in a shredded shirt. Colony population, 2.5. The half is unconscious in a coffin with feathers. Clover came back with an armful of herbs and caught me standing at the door shivering like a broken washing machine. She tilted her head, then walked up to me and looked up. Way up. The height difference between us really seemed to annoy her for a second. Crouch down, she said. I crouched. She quietly unwound the scarf from her own neck, stood on her tiptoes, and carefully wrapped it around mine. Loop by loop. Gently. Precisely. I didn't move. Just watched her do it. The only other woman who ever put a scarf on me was my mom. When she was done, she stepped back and smiled softly. This scarf is very warm. I touched it. It still carried her scent, faint, herbal, like dried medicine flowers. It was basically nothing compared to how cold the rest of me was. But my chest felt warm, really warm. What about you? Are you okay without it? I asked. She patted her oversized coat. I've got this snow coat. It's very warm. I survived the whole winter in it. Then she added immediately, but you can't have this one. I get cold easily. Wasn't planning on it, I said. Mostly because it wouldn't fit me anyway. Clover went to treat the angel while I turned my attention to the real question. Where are we sleeping tonight? The old shack was completely occupied by one unconscious angel and her giant wings. No way I was squeezing in there. This new cabin had to be livable by sunset. No exceptions. I built like a man possessed. Hammering, shaping, fitting, system-assisted construction at maximum speed. When I finally dropped the rock I'd been using as a hammer and collapsed on the ground, dripping sweat, the cabin was done. I looked at it. A cozy little wooden cabin, like something from an anime, the kind of lakeside cottage a character retires to after saving the world. It's all wood, roof included, so it'll definitely leak when it rains. The window is just a small piece of glass I ripped off the old shack. But it works. It's a real house. With walls. And a door. And space. The sun was still setting. I felt like I'd been working for a week, but the day still wasn't over. RimWorld days must be longer than Earth days. Makes sense. 60-day years. Alien sun. Different planet. I should stop comparing everything to Earth time. I used the leftover wood to build a bed. Well, a bedboard. No mattress. No sheets, no blankets. I don't even have clothes for myself. Forget about bedding. We'll manage. Then Clover finally finished treating the angel and stepped out of the old shack. She saw the completed cabin and froze. Like a statue, her entire body locked up. She rubbed her eyes. Her ears twitched. Then her eyes lit up like golden lanterns. Our new house is done. I pulled my best casual pose and gestured toward the door. Please, have a look. She bounced inside. The cabin was empty, no furniture yet, but she didn't care even a little bit. Then she spotted the bed in the corner. There's a bed. She launched herself onto the bare wooden board and started rolling around on it. Just rolling, back and forth, like a kid who'd never had a bed in her life. Which, she probably hadn't. Not for a long time. The house still has lots of empty space, I said, walking in. I'll make some furniture when I get the chance. Also, tomorrow I'm thinking we should collect some stones too. I stopped mid-sentence. Clover was already asleep. On the bedboard. Mid-roll. Just. Out. Zero defense. Absolute zero. This girl trusts me like I'm furniture. That's when it hit me. I made the bed big enough for 2 people. On purpose. Without even thinking about it. Like sharing a bed with Clover was just the obvious default. Why didn't I build 2 separate beds? I genuinely did not consider it. Not even for 1 second. My brain just went, bed for us, and moved on. Well, it's not worth overthinking. I'm not losing anything here. Clover had left a space for me on the bed. I lay down next to her. Just like last night. The moment she sensed warmth nearby, she curled into me in her sleep, that same soft little smile on her face. I reached over and gently ruffled her messy white hair. Everything hurt. Every muscle screamed. My brain was shutting down. But for the first time since waking up in that coffin, this place actually felt a tiny bit like home. Next morning, eyes open. New day on RimWorld. Clover was still fast asleep beside me. She stirred a tiny bit when I moved, but didn't wake up. This girl sleeps like she's in a 5-star hotel. She survived an entire winter alone, and she sleeps this deeply? What if something attacked her in the middle of the night? I reached over and rubbed her fluffy white hair. I know she told me not to touch her head, but she's asleep. What she doesn't know won't hurt her. Her hair is ridiculously soft. Like petting a cloud. I could do this all day and never get bored. She nuzzled into my hand without waking up, and I felt my face stretch into the dumbest, warmest smile. Like a proud aunt watching a baby. Day 3. Instant serotonin. Therapy complete. Let's get to work. I slipped out of the cabin without waking her. Morning wind hit me like an icy slap. 2 days in, and I still can't get used to the cold. This shredded shirt is a joke. Went to the stream to wash my face, then ducked into the old shack to grab some berries for breakfast. The angel was still lying there, motionless, still unconscious. still looking like a masterwork sculpture that some god spent their entire career crafting. I ate while going through my mental to-do list for the day. We can't live on berries forever. I need stone to build a cooking hearth. The system map shows plenty of animals nearby, even a cheetah, though that one's far enough away to not be an immediate problem. Hunting is on the table, but carefully. Tools and weapons too. Clover said raids between settlements happen all the time here. Need to be ready. Also, my hibernation pod is still sitting in the forest. Should go decompose it for materials. The more I thought about it, the longer the list got. Being a colony leader is basically being a project manager with zero budget and a staff of 1.5. After finishing my berries, I turned to look at the angel again. She really was stunning. Yesterday, I'd been too focused on the blood and injuries to actually look at her properly. My eyes drifted upward, past the legs and white stockings, past the prominent features, up to her face. Delicate nose, perfect bone structure, like a collector's figurine brought to life. And then I noticed her eyes. Ice blue, open, staring right at me. She was awake. She'd been awake this whole time, just lying there, watching me look at her, in complete silence. My entire body turned to stone. How long has she been conscious? Did she see me scanning her from bottom to top, like I was appraising merchandise? Her expression was blank, unreadable. Those blue eyes just locked onto mine like a targeting system. I stood there, frozen, my brain cycling through every possible excuse at the speed of light and finding none of them convincing. The angel said nothing. I said nothing. The wind blew through the shack. Somewhere in the distance, a bird chirped, completely unaware that a man's entire reputation was dying in a toilet-sized cabin. The staring contest lasted about 3 seconds before the angel finally spoke. Who are you? Her voice was cold, clear, and beautiful, like wind chimes made of ice. But I could hear the wariness underneath. I stepped back a bit so she could see me properly. Just an ordinary colonist. Saw you fall out of the sky, brought you back, patched you up. She went quiet. I could practically hear her brain analyzing me. Ragged clothes. Eating wild berries for breakfast. Living in a shack that looks like a toilet. Conclusion: too poor to be dangerous. Her guard dropped a little. Smart girl. Then Clover popped her head through the doorway. Oh, the bird person is awake. Bird person. The angel's eye twitched. I'm not a bird person. I'm a marilla. A what? Clover looked at me. I shrugged. I've been on this planet for 2 days. I don't know what anything is. The angel looked genuinely confused. You don't even know what marilla are? The sky spirits. We both shook our heads honestly. One of us barely understands this world, and the other understands it even less. Seeing we weren't faking it, she relaxed a tiny bit more. Fresh colonists, too clueless to be scheming. What's your name? Clover asked. How did you fall? The angel opened her mouth. My name is Anura. Fake name, I said immediately, because her real name was written right there on my system panel. Lucia Electra. Nice try, angel. Clover's face went cold instantly. A dagger materialized in her hand so fast, I didn't even see her move. She stared at the angel like a tiny white-haired executioner awaiting orders. I patted Clover's head to calm her down. She reluctantly put the knife away. The angel sighed. You're sharper than you look. Can't afford not to be in a place like this, I said with a smile. Look, we obviously saved your life. We're clearly not hostile. The questions we're asking shouldn't be that hard to answer honestly, right? Silence. Then another sigh. Lucia. Lucia Electra. That's my real name. Just call me Lucia. So Lucia is the first name and Alex something is the last name? Clover asked. That it's Electra? And yes, you can think of it that way. I could see Lucia's eyebrow twitch. She was already getting irritated by Clover. Meanwhile, Clover was completely oblivious. Interesting. Different races have different name orders here. On the system panel, Clover's full name is Ivy Clover, with Ivy being the family name, listed first. Lucia's family name is listed last. Cultural differences even in the year 5500. I was flying through the stratosphere when a cannon shell hit me, Lucia said. Short. Clean. Minimum information. I raised an eyebrow. Let me get this straight. You took a cannon shell to the body, in the stratosphere, then fell all the way to the ground. And you woke up 1 day later. A flash of pride crossed her face. Obviously, I'm a noble Marilla. This level of injury is nothing to me. Nothing. To her. She got hit by artillery at airplane altitude, cratered into the earth like a meteor, and calls it nothing. Now I was worried. If this angel's physical toughness is that insane, what happens when she heals? Could she turn on me and Clover? Should I handle this now? While she can't move, I glanced at Clover. She'd already drawn her dagger again, watching me, waiting for the signal. This mouse girl reads my mind like a book. Lucia must have sensed the shift, because she spoke up fast. Marilla don't have the best relationship with ground dwellers, but we're not so low as to attack the people who saved our lives. Then she added, besides, your colony is so poor there's nothing here worth wanting. OUCH. True, but OUCH. You try to give us a fake name, though, I pointed out. She threw my own words back at me with a thin smile. Can't afford not to be cautious in a place like this. Isn't that what you said? I had to give her that one. Touchy. Then her expression softened. As you can see, my body has zero feeling right now. If you wanted to kill me, it would be about as difficult as killing a chicken. A cannon-proof sky angel, lying paralyzed in my toilet shack, telling me she's as easy to kill as poultry. Day 3 on Rim World is wild. I'm paralyzed, Lucia said, calm as if she was discussing the weather. Full body paralysis, probably caused by whatever was in that shell. Recovery takes 6 months minimum, maybe a year. So you're basically as useful as a chicken right now, Clover said, and out came the dagger again. I grabbed Clover before she could do anything. This girl's solution to every problem is stabbing. I thought she was playing bad cop to my good cop, but no, she genuinely just doesn't like strangers. Wait, she was kind to me from the very beginning, so her kindness toward strangers is exclusive to me? That's actually really touching. But I can't get emotional right now. Focus. I held Clover back and smiled at Lucia. You were saying? You two obviously don't have any real technology, right? She'd already figured out our entire situation just from looking at us. I have a huge library of technology blueprints in my head. Help me through my paralysis, and I'll share them with you to develop your colony. Or, if that's too much trouble, just toss me outside and let me die. She closed her eyes. Take it or leave it. Clover looked at me. She understood how valuable tech blueprints were, but she also knew her intelligence stat was only 4, so she left the decision to me. Good girl. Technology blueprints. In the year 5500. From someone with a maxed-out intelligence stat. Was I tempted? My heart was doing backflips. The system tosses me a blueprint once in a blue moon, but that lazy dog of a system plays dead 90% of the time. I can't rely on it alone. Very tempting offer, I said. Lucia opened her eyes, ready to seal the deal. But, I continued, I have a different condition. She paused. Let's hear it. Join our colony. I looked her dead in the eyes. If you're part of our colony, then taking care of you isn't a transaction. It's just what we do. I could practically hear her internal scoff. A noble Marilla, joining a colony run by a penniless human and a knife-happy mouse? The indignity. But she had zero bargaining power, and she knew it. Fine. I'll join your colony. I waited for the system to react. Nothing. No notification. No fanfare. Apparently saying the words isn't enough. She has to actually mean it. Makes sense. She was clearly just saying whatever kept her alive. No problem. I expected that. Trust takes time. Great. You're one of us now, I said. We'll take care of you while you recover. Now let's talk about those blueprints. I caught the tiniest flash of relief on Lucia's face. She'd been ready to die if we refused. And despite her pride, she was scared. She could have asked us to carry her to other Marilla on the surface. But she didn't trust them either. Whoever shot her down knew where she'd be. That means the threat might be from her own kind. For now, a clueless human and an aggressive mouse were her safest bet. What's your terminal code? She asked. I can transmit the blueprints directly. Terminal? I looked at Clover. Clover shook her head. I don't have a terminal. Lucia's composure cracked. You two are colonists and you don't even have a basic terminal. What's a terminal? I asked honestly. A chip implanted in your brain for communication and information transfer. Oh, it's a phone. A brain phone. Got it. But I definitely don't have one of those. This system can function as a terminal. Terminal code. At 251106. The lazy dog system finally speaks. It's been sitting there in silence watching me embarrass myself, and now it pipes up? This system has features it never tells me about. I have to stumble into every single one. It's like owning a phone where the manual is locked inside the phone and the phone won't tell you the password. Actually, I do have something like that, I told Lucia. the relief on her face. She'd already been mentally planning how to survive being abandoned in the wilderness with no working limbs. I gave her my terminal code. She closed her eyes. A moment later, my brain swelled slightly, and new knowledge flooded in. Received, electricity blueprint. Received, geothermal generator blueprint. Detected early unlock of electrical technology. Bonus, artificial seed blueprint, corn seed X1, skill trainer, farming, X1, electricity. We have electricity technology now. My eyes must have been glowing because Lucia smiled. Looks like my gift arrived. How is it? Huge help. Thank you. Clover tugged at my sleeve. What blueprints? I grabbed her little head and rubbed it excitedly. Electricity. And a generator. We can have power. Clover's eyes went wide. Even she understood what electricity meant. She was so caught up in the excitement that she didn't even notice I'd been rubbing her head for the 5th time today. Day 3. Colony status. 1 construction worker with twig arms, 1 combat mouse with a stabbing addiction, and 1 paralyzed angel who just handed us the key to the Industrial Revolution. We might actually survive this. I dug into the electricity blueprint and was honestly shocked, pun intended, at how simple the technology was. In the year 5500, making electrical cables basically just requires processed iron. No fancy alloys, no rare materials. Just iron. And iron? The system map showed multiple ore deposits near our base. Processing it. The system handles that. The generator needed more parts though, lots of small components. And right now my only source of components was dismantling things I already had. Then reality hit me like a cold shower. The real problem wasn't materials. It was labor. Lucia was a vegetable. Clover's building and crafting skills were garbage tier. The only person who could actually construct anything was me. One guy, with twig arms, running an entire industrial revolution solo. After the electricity excitement wore off, I rubbed my temples and started thinking bigger. More colonists. That's what we needed. But who in their right mind would join a colony that couldn't even guarantee food? Food. Wait. Lucia, I said suddenly. Do colonists on Rim World struggle with food? She gave me a strange look, but answered honestly. Only a handful of high-tech colonies don't worry about food. Everyone else lives meal to meal. When winter comes and artificial seeds can't grow, people die in massive numbers every year. Yes. That's what I needed to hear. I pulled up the bonus reward from the system. Corn seeds X1, adapted to Rim World soil conditions. Produces organic corn. First harvest in 3 days, then every 12 days after. Maximum growth temperature, 58 degrees. Minimum growth temperature, 0 degrees. Natural corn. Real vegetables. On a planet where natural crops supposedly can't grow. Every colony lives on artificial seed slop and foraged berries. And I'm sitting on seeds that produce actual nutritious food. This wasn't just food. This was a recruitment tool. So there are no natural vegetables on Rim World at all? I asked, keeping my voice casual. Of course not. The only thing you can forage here is berries. Crops from other planets won't grow in this soil. Why do you think so few aliens bother coming here? Then she squinted at me. Why are you suddenly worried about other people's food problems? Shouldn't you be worried about your own? Just curious, I said innocently. Then I picked up a berry. Speaking of which, hungry? Want me to feed you? Lucia opened her mouth to refuse. Her stomach answered first. Grr. Dead silence. Her beautiful face turned bright pink. She squeezed her eyes shut in pure shame. Let the mouse girl do it. Fair enough. Getting fed is embarrassing enough without it being a guy. But then I watched what happened next and nearly died laughing. Clover walked up with some berries. Picked one up. Extended it toward Lucia's mouth. Lucia closed her eyes and opened wide, ready to accept her fate with dignity. Nothing happened. She waited and waited. Still nothing. She opened one eye, just in time for a berry to bonk her right on the forehead and roll away. Clover's hand was hovering a good arm's length away. She'd basically thrown it. Why are you holding your hand so far away? Lucia said flatly. Are you afraid I'll bite you? Clover paused. Duck can't rule it out. What? Clover said with full sincerity. I have some experience taking care of unconscious people and dead bodies. But I've never taken care of a living person before. So I'm a bit nervous. Dead bodies? That's her frame of reference? Lucia's eye twitched violently. I basically am a corpse right now. Just treat me like one. A corpse's mouth doesn't open and close. Can you close yours first? If I close my mouth, how do I eat? I can pry your jaw open, place the berry inside, then manually move your chin up and down to simulate chewing. Stop. Stop talking. Lucia looked genuinely horrified. A chill ran down her spine, which was impressive given she couldn't feel her spine. She realized instantly that letting Clover feed her was a catastrophic mistake. This mouse was not only dumb, but had been trying to kill her 10 minutes ago. You do it, she said, looking straight at me. Defeated. I shrugged and stepped up. Clover, I'll take over here. Clover nodded happily. Okay, I'll go gather more berries. We need enough for 3 people now. She glanced at Lucia's chest area, then back at her own flat self, and muttered something about, the bird person probably eats a lot. Before Clover left, I pulled out the bag of corn seeds from the system inventory. Actually, Clover, see that abandoned field nearby? Try planting these. Her head tilted. Food seeds? Corn seeds. Corn. Her tail shot straight up. Eyes sparkling. 0 questions asked. Complete trust. I'll plant them right now. She zoomed off. I turned back to Lucia. All right, lie still. Feeding time. She stared at me like I was an idiot. I'm paralyzed from the neck down. What else am I going to do? Cartwheels? I ignored Lucia's death glare and crouched down next to her. Want me to prop you up against the wall to eat? No need. Just feed me like this. We Marilla aren't as fragile as you humans. I tucked some dry grass under her head to make it more comfortable. While I was at it, I reached up and poked her golden halo. My hand went straight through it. It's not solid. It's a hologram. Or magic. Or whatever passes for normal when you're a sky angel. Curious about my halo? She asked. Yeah. Is it technology? Born with it. Does it do anything? All Marilla have them from birth. It doesn't do anything useful. Just a symbol of our kind. A symbol. You've got 10-foot wingspan and a glowing ring over your head, and you need more symbols? As I adjusted her position, Lucia finally got a good look at herself. She noticed the bandages, strips of her own ruined lab coat mixed with blue fabric. Her eyes flicked to my shredded shirt sleeves. The sleeves that were missing because I tore them off to bandage her. Something flickered in those ice blue eyes. She didn't say anything about it. Open up, I said, holding out a berry. She opened her mouth obediently. I placed the berry in, watched her chew, swallow, open again. Repeat. Very mechanical. Very compliant. You're being surprisingly cooperative, I said. I expected at least 3 insults by now. You're so noisy. Are you the type that gets excited when a woman scolds you? Sadly, no. Why is that something to be sad about? After feeding her, I stood up and dusted off my hands. I've got work to do. Rest up. If you need anything, call me through the terminal. She closed her eyes without answering. I was halfway out the door when she spoke up. If you don't have fabric, you can hunt animals and use leather and fur to make warm clothing. I turned back. Are you worrying about me? Humans are fragile. If you freeze to death, my situation gets worse too. Classic Lucia. Caring about me while pretending she's only caring about herself. I smiled. By the way, I never introduced myself. I'm Jiang Ling. The mouse girl is Clover. I have 0 interest in your names. Go to your work. I left. Behind me, in the quiet of the shack, I could hear her whisper to herself. Jiang Ling? That's a strange name even for Rim World. And the mouse was called 4-leaf? 5-leaf marijuana. Forget it. Can't remember. 4-leaf? 5-leaf marijuana. It's Clover. 3-leaf clover. How does a level 20 intelligence brain fail at remembering a simple name? Anyway, leather. Lucia had a point. I needed real clothes before I froze to death. Hunting meant relying on Clover. Also meant we'd finally get some meat. I was so tired of berries I could scream. I headed toward the field and found Clover lying flat on her stomach next to the freshly planted soil, face inches from the ground, staring at where she buried the corn seeds. What are you doing? Waiting for it to sprout? Yes. She stood up and nodded with complete seriousness. I want to eat corn soon. She wiped a line of drool from the corner of her mouth. Staring at it won't make it grow faster. I patted her head. She didn't even flinch anymore. I've conditioned her into accepting head pats. Progress. Come with me to my hibernation pod. I want to try decomposing it for materials. Okay, no questions. No hesitation. Just instant agreement. That's Clover. We followed the system map toward the pod. It was at the very edge of my map range, but not too far. We spotted some small animals along the way. Future meals, if Clover's hunting skills were as sharp as her stabbing instincts. We were almost there when I froze. Wait. I threw my arm out and stopped Clover. What's wrong? People. Two figures had appeared at the edge of my system map, walking straight toward us. Every alarm in my head went off at once. Hide. Now. We ducked into the bushes next to the hibernation pod. Moments later, two dark-skinned men emerged from the trees. Both huge. One of them was built like a tank, easily a full size bigger than me. Like a human-shaped bear. I checked their stats immediately. The tank guy, Abarugo Naba. Race, Fighting, level 9. Shooting, level 2. 9. His fighting level is 9. Clover's is 12, but this guy was twice her size. I did not want to find out how that matchup would go. The other one, Nyakasu Frog. Race, Fighting, level 6. Shooting, level 9. Shooting 9. Which almost certainly meant he had a gun. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Please just be passing through. Please just be passing through. Naba, look at this. The one called Frog ran toward our hibernation pod, eyes lighting up. It's a hibernation pod. If we dismantle this, we can sell the silver for a ton of food. My hibernation pod. My materials. That I was coming to decompose. And these two meatheads wanted to steal it. I was about to look at Clover to figure out our next move. One glance, and my brain short-circuited. Clover had pulled out a weapon. Not her dagger. Not a knife. A silver revolver. Where did she get a gun? She had a gun this whole time? Shooting level 16. I knew that stat wasn't just for show, but I didn't expect her to be literally armed. This tiny mouse girl was crouching in a bush, holding a revolver like it was the most natural thing in the world. Those golden eyes locked onto the two strangers with zero emotion. Day 3 just got very interesting. Clover looked at me with those golden eyes. No words. Just a silent question. Do I shoot? I opened my mouth, closed it, then whispered, your call. Honestly, if these two just wanted the hibernation pod, I'd let them have it. Materials aren't worth dying over. But I'm new here. Clover knows this world better than I do. I trusted her judgment. Clover didn't move, just held the revolver steady, watching the two men like a cat watching mice. Ironic, coming from the actual mouse. Then the big one, Naba, finally spoke. The pod is empty, Frog nodded. Yeah, so what? That means whoever was inside already left. And they might still be nearby. Naba's face twisted into a horrifying grin. We can find them. Tear them into strips. Make jerky. Food supply. Frog's eyes lit up. You're so smart, Naba. There are footprints here. We follow them. We find the meat. Tear into strips. Make jerky. My brain needed a full 3 seconds to process what I just heard. These two weren't thieves. They were cannibals. And the meat they were tracking was me. I shot up my spine from my feet to the top of my skull. Every hair on my body stood on end. Enemy confirmed. No ambiguity. No gray area. These men wanted to eat me. Clover's grip tightened on the revolver. How confident are you? I whispered. Completely. Take the thin one first. He probably has a gun, she nodded. No hesitation. No doubt. She stood up. The bushes rustled. Frog's head snapped toward us. Who's there? His hand shot toward his waist, toward a weapon. But Clover was faster. Bang. One shot. One clean gunshot echoing through the forest. Birds scattered from the trees. Frog's hand had just touched his gun handle. He never got further than that. A bullet hole appeared dead center on his forehead. Blood poured down his face like a red curtain. He fell straight backward. Gone. Frog. Naba spun around, looking for cover. Didn't matter how high his fighting level was. Against a gun, running was the only option. But Clover was already behind him. I didn't even see her move. 1 second she was in front of me. The next she was on his back like a ghost. She leaped onto his neck. This giant man twice her size, and her dagger flashed across his throat. Blood. Everywhere. Naba clutched his neck, trying to scream, choking on his own blood. He twisted his eyes backward, desperate to see who killed him. Clover answered with a second strike to the back of his skull. Blood sprayed across her white face. He crashed to the ground like a felled tree. In his final moment, the only person he saw was me, stepping out of the bushes. The one who actually killed him? He never saw her. Not once. Level 12 versus level 9. Only 3 levels apart on paper. But Clover dismantled both of them in seconds like they were nothing. Stats don't tell the full story. Not even close. I looked at the two bodies. The blood. The twisted expressions frozen on their faces. My stomach lurched. Hard. I know this is normal here. I know the Rim world runs on violence. But I'm a guy from a peaceful ERA. I've never seen a dead body in my entire life, let alone two fresh ones leaking blood all over the forest floor. Clover wiped her dagger clean, put it away, and walked up to me. What's wrong? You look sick. First time seeing dead bodies up close, I admitted, forcing a smile onto my very green face. I crouched down and gently wiped the blood off her little cheeks. You're not hurt. Her face went pink under my fingers. She shook her head. No. I stared at her for a long moment. Something heavy settled in my chest. If Clover hadn't found my hibernation pod first, if she'd come 2 days later, these two would have found me instead. Unconscious, helpless, and they would have turned me into beef jerky. No system in the world would have saved me. I pulled Clover into my arms and held her tight. She looked up, confused. What's this all of a sudden? Nothing, I said. I'm just really glad the first person I met was you. She went quiet in my arms. For a long time, neither of us said anything. I could feel her small, warm body against my chest, her breath steady and calm. Then, softly, meeting you. I feel lucky too. Her voice was barely above a whisper. She told me later, not right then, but I could feel it, that before I came along, she'd already made peace with dying alone, starving in the wilderness, or getting killed by raiders, or just fading away. She didn't care anymore. Nothing to live for. No one to miss her. But now, listening to my heartbeat, something changed in her. She wanted to live. We stayed like that for a while. When I finally let go, the bodies on the ground didn't bother me as much anymore. Clover was quiet after the hug. She followed behind me looking a little dazed, like her brain was still processing something it didn't have words for. Then she suddenly remembered something and jogged over to the two corpses. Looting, presumably. Practical as always. I walked to the hibernation pod and placed my hand on it. Decompose. White light swallowed the whole thing. When it faded, the sci-fi coffin that brought me to this world was now a pile of raw materials on the ground. Processed iron. Some unknown steel. Silver. A handful of components. Simpler construction than I expected. But useful. Very useful. Day 3 body count. 2 cannibals, 0 regrets. Colony MVP. 1 tiny mouse girl with a revolver and a dagger and absolutely 0 chill. I picked up a strange piece of steel from the decomposed materials. Light blue, shaped like a diamond bar, looked like cloudy glass but didn't let sunlight through. Weirdly light for its size. That's glass steel, Clover said from behind me. Very hard metal. She paused. Makes really sharp weapons. Weapons. Great. Except I don't have a forge to actually make weapons. The system can shape things, but without proper forging, anything I make would have the structural integrity of a wet cracker. I'll save it for later. Now, how do I carry all this stuff back? I stared at the pile of materials and then had a sudden thought. Hey, system, can I store things in your inventory space? How did I forget about this? I've been pulling things out of the system space for days, but never tried putting things in. System currently provides 1 cubic meter of storage space. Expand your colony to unlock more capacity. Note: food stored in system space will not spoil. Living creatures cannot be stored. You had this feature the whole time and didn't tell me? I literally had to ask. I was mentally screaming at this point. This system is like playing a video game with 0 tutorial, where every wrong step can kill you. No hints. No tips. No. Hey, by the way, you have a magical pocket dimension. Just silence until I accidentally discover each feature by asking the right question. I placed my hand on the material pile and willed it into storage. White flash. Everything vanished. Clean. Clover's ears twitched. What was that? Storage technology. Part of my science. Storage technology? She tilted her head. Why didn't you use it before? My face went stiff. I coughed twice. I'm still learning how to use all my tech. Just figured out this feature. Oh, she accepted it instantly. Not a single follow-up question. Bless this girl's unconditional trust. Then she handed me something. A holster belt with a pistol grip sticking out. She'd looted it off Frog's corpse. Of course she did. I pulled the gun out. A black handgun. I couldn't name the model, but it looked like a regular pistol. Same with Clover's revolver. We're in the 56th century, and guns still look like this? Did firearms technology just peak a few thousand years ago, and everyone collectively decided, yeah, this is fine? Here's the ammo too. Clover handed me a small handful of rounds. Supplies are limited. Don't waste them. With my level 3 shooting skill and exactly 0 combat experience, every bullet I fire is basically a donation to the sky. Unless it's life or death, I shouldn't even touch the trigger. But the fact that Clover gave me the gun without a second thought, I now had the ability to genuinely threaten her, and she didn't care, just handed it over like it was a snack. I stored the gun and ammo in the system space instead of the holster. Clover didn't even blink. She'd already accepted that my technology could do weird things. I searched those too, she said. Nothing else useful. Head back. I looked at the system map. Animals dotted the area. An idea formed. Clover, can I ask you a favor? What? Hunt an animal for me. I need fur and hide to make clothes. She looked at my shredded shirt. More holes than fabric at this point, and her eyes went wide. Oh right, animal fur for clothing. I should have thought of that. Go ahead. I'll head back to the colony first. Okay. But I'm walking you out of the forest first. She escorted me to the edge of the trees before running off to hunt. Bodyguard and personal shopper. Back at the colony, I got busy immediately. Dumped the stored materials, found some stones nearby, and used the system to process them into stone bricks. Stacked the bricks, forged an iron pot. Not great quality without a proper forge, but good enough for cooking, and built a simple outdoor stove. No way I was putting a fire inside our wooden house. I enjoy not burning alive. Then I started building a sewing table. If Clover was bringing back animal hide, I needed something to work with it on. I checked the map while working. Clover had found her target, a snow cow. Blue-furred bovine, looked extremely cold-resistant based on the name alone. Smart choice. That fur would make a warm coat. A few hours later, the sewing table was done. I wiped the sweat off my forehead and admired my work. Not bad at all. Checked the map again. Clover had already killed the snow cow and was currently dragging it back, and she was almost at the colony already. This girl was dragging a whole cow, by herself, across the wilderness. I smacked my own forehead and sprinted toward her. Found her about 100 meters out, red-faced, panting, hauling a massive blue-furred cow carcass behind her like it was an oversized grocery bag. This thing had to weigh at least 300 kilograms. I grabbed the other end, and we dragged it back together. When we finally dropped it at the colony, Clover was gasping for air, her entire face flushed. Is this enough? More than enough? I rubbed her head apologetically. I'm so sorry. Take a break. You earned it. This was my fault. I saw her hunting on the map and just assumed she'd figure out the transport part. I completely forgot that tiny mouse girl and 300-kilogram cow is not a great logistics combination. Clover sat down next to me, munching berries and staring at the stove and sewing table I'd just built with pure fascination. I walked around the snow cow carcass. Massive thing. Only one bullet hole, right between the eyes. One shot, one kill. Clover doesn't waste ammo. I put my hand on the cow and activated decompose. White light, and boom. Hide, fur, meat, and bones, all perfectly separated. Wait, it worked without a butchering table? I had a butchering table blueprint ready to go and everything. The system just did it automatically. I'll take it. One less thing to build. The fur was still bloody though. Needed washing and drying before I could sew anything. But in the meantime, I looked at the mountain of raw beef. Then at Clover. Want some meat? Meat. She shot to her feet like a spring-loaded missile. Eyes blazing. Yes, today we eat beef. No seasoning. No spices. No salt. Nothing. All I could do was mash some berries into a crude jam and spread it on the meat. Frontier cooking at its finest. I lit the stove, slapped the washed steak into the iron pot, and the sizzle that followed was the most beautiful sound I'd heard since arriving on this planet. The smell of cooking meat spread everywhere. Clover parked herself next to the stove and just sat there swallowing her drool over and over. Her eyes were locked on that steak like it owed her money. Meanwhile, inside the old shack, I'm pretty sure Lucia was lying there staring at the ceiling, smelling the meat, and wondering if we'd forgotten she existed. While cooking, I asked Clover something that had been bugging me. You never tried cooking meat yourself? She has the hunting skills. She has weapons. Why was she living on berries? Her face scrunched up at the memory. I tried. I hunted some animals and put the meat on fire. Pause. It either turned to charcoal or stayed raw. And I wasted bullets. The system did say she was incapable of cooking. I thought that was an exaggeration. It was not an exaggeration. This girl can snipe a man between the eyes from the bushes, but she cannot make fire touch meat correctly. The universe giveth and the universe taketh away. I handed her the finished steak with berry jam. No plate, no fork, no knife. She grabbed it with both hands and sat on the ground chomping away like a happy little wolf. For Lucia, I made kebab sticks. She couldn't exactly hold a steak with paralyzed arms. I threaded chunks of beef onto wooden skewers and grilled them over the open flame. I walked to the old shack and knocked on the door. Come in. The musty smell from before had been replaced by something softer. Lucia's own scent, after being in there all day. Much nicer. You didn't have to knock, she said. All I do is sleep or stare at the ceiling. It's not like you'll walk in on anything exciting. Habit, I said. Thirsty? Want some water? I'll call you through the terminal if I need something. Don't worry. She seemed genuinely surprised that I knocked. Like basic manners were some alien concept. Which, in this world, they probably are. Check out what I made for you. I pulled out the meat skewers with a grin. Lucky timing. You joined the colony on the same day we got our first real meal. If this is what you call lucky, I'd rather pass. Come on. Think positive. At least you're not in the worst possible situation, right? I held the skewer to her lips. Open up. She noticed I'd put the meat on sticks specifically for her. Something flickered in her expression. Then she opened her mouth and bit off a piece. She chewed slowly. Her eyes widened a fraction. Did you add something to this? I gave her a thumbs up. It's jam. I added jam. Are you referencing a joke from thousands of years ago? My soul left my body. She didn't get the reference. Nobody in the year 5500 gets my references. I am culturally alone in the universe. This is the true tragedy of being a transmigrator. Your memes die with your era. I fed her the rest of the kebabs in depressed silence, gave her some water, then showed her the glass steel from the hibernation pod. Good material, she said. What do you want to make with it? Don't know yet. That's why I'm asking you. She studied it for a moment. Save it. Collect more if you can. When my body recovers, I can build you something good. She left it at that. A mystery. I didn't push. Something good from the 56th century? I'm very interested. Anything else you need before I go? I asked. For the first time, she didn't immediately say no. Instead, her cheeks turned pink. She started stammering. That. Well, what is it? She squeezed her eyes shut. Just go outside. Send the mouse girl in. Oh, okay. I left the shack. Outside, Clover was flat on her back, patting her stuffed belly with a blissful expression. How was it? Delicious, she smiled with her eyes closed. Never eaten anything that good in my entire life. That hit different. This girl spent an entire winter alone eating nothing but berries. A simple steak with berry jam was the best meal of her life. Can you get up? Lucia needs you for something. Okay. Clover went into the shack. I waited outside, mildly curious. What did Lucia need that specifically required a girl to help with? A minute later, Clover walked out carrying an armful of stuff. Dry grass used as bedding, a dress, a pair of white stockings, and a pair of white panties. Oh. She needed to change the bedding, and her clothes, and her undergarments, all of which required someone to undress her paralyzed body. And that someone could absolutely not be me. Mystery solved. Question I wish I never asked answered. Moving on. Immediately, Clover noticed me staring at the pile of laundry and helpfully explained. The bedding grass was wet and needed replacing. Her clothes are quick-dry material, should be wearable again in about an hour. Thank you, Clover. I absolutely did not need that explanation. I was doing fine not thinking about it, but now my brain was doing math. If the underwear is out here and Lucia is in there, then right now she's, ahem. I fake coughed and rubbed my nose, forcefully ejecting the thought from my head. Are you getting a cold? Clover asked innocently. No, nothing. Let's go wash the cowhide. Together. Right now? Immediately. Down at the stream, Clover washed Lucia's clothes while I scrubbed the snow cowhide clean. Very productive. Very normal. No thoughts about anything else. I looked upstream and wondered out loud. If there's a river, could there be other colonies upstream? Clover shook her head. I explored every direction pretty far when I was gathering food. Upstream too. No people. Then those two guys today, their colony isn't nearby. Probably not too far though. They likely came because of the explosion in the sky yesterday, when Lucia got shot down. The noise drew attention. That meant trouble. If those two cannibals don't come back, their colony will send more people to investigate. It's only a matter of time before we're discovered. We buried the bodies before we left, but that's a temporary solution at best. I need weapons and defenses. Soon. The cowhide needed to dry overnight. Tomorrow I could sew it into clothing. I stored the leftover beef in the system space. Meat spoils fast, but system storage keeps food fresh forever. Another feature the lazy system never told me about until I asked. Everything done, I stretched and watched the sunset. Almost bedtime. Nice, peaceful evening. Warning. Unknown colonist has entered colony territory. My heart stopped. I ripped open the map. One figure. Coming from the west. The same direction as this morning's cannibals. Already? They sent someone this fast? I tapped the figure's icon, bracing for the worst. Devin Gunther. Race. Human. Shooting. None. This colonist cannot engage in violence. Fighting. None. This colonist cannot engage in violence. Cannot. Engage in violence? At all. What kind of person literally can't fight or shoot? Still suspicious. I called out to Clover. We've got a stranger heading our way. Her lazy post-dinner expression vanished instantly. Dagger in one hand, revolver in the other, eyes sharp as razors. Where? West. Let's go check. We set up the same formation as before. I go in front to talk. Clover hides nearby with her gun aimed at the stranger's head. If anything goes wrong, bang. I found him in the forest near Lucia's crash crater. A thin, brown-haired man in a clean white priest's robe. No weapons. Nothing. Just wandering around the woods in religious clothing like this was a Sunday stroll and not a death planet. He was staring at the dried blood in the crater, muttering to himself. The impact was recent. This should be the place. But where did the Sky Spirit go? Sky Spirit. He's looking for Lucia. I stepped out behind him, gun raised. Don't move. Who are you? The man spun around and immediately threw both hands in the air. Hey. No hostility here. He talked fast. I'm Devin Gunther, missionary of the Heavenly Wing Church. I'm here looking for a Sky Spirit, a Marilla, who may have been injured. He spilled his entire identity and purpose in 2 seconds flat. This guy had zero poker face. His stats said he literally couldn't be violent, and his behavior confirmed it. He was practically vibrating with, "Please don't shoot me," energy. I lowered the gun slightly. Heavenly Wing Church. He was searching for Lucia. But why? Lucia said Marilla and ground dwellers didn't get along. Devin kept his hands raised, smiling warmly despite having a gun pointed at him moments ago. No trace of looking down on me for my ragged clothes. Points for that. The Heavenly Wing Church is a religion devoted to the Sky Spirits, he explained eagerly. Years ago, we had close contact with them. They gave us incredible knowledge and power. It was a golden age for our church. His eyes started getting that glint. The religious fervor glint. The Sky Spirits eventually cut ties with us, but we never stopped searching for them, hoping to regain their divine attention. Then he turned to me with full-blown zealot energy. Friend, would you like to join the Heavenly Wing Church? When we regain the Sky Spirit's favor, you too could receive knowledge beyond what ordinary people could dream of. He was trying to recruit me into a cult while standing in a forest, while my tiny mouse assassin had a revolver aimed at his skull from the shadows. Day 3 was supposed to be winding down. Instead, I'm being evangelized by a pacifist priest who worships the paralyzed angel lying naked in my toilet shack. This world does not let up. Hold it. I cut Devin off before he could go full sermon mode. This Sky Spirit you're talking about, have you actually seen one? Or is this just stuff you've heard about? His face twitched. Sky Spirits are absolutely real. Our church detected one's trail, which is why I'm here. Then he remembered his actual mission. Friend, have you seen a Sky Spirit around here? According to our records, they live in the Sky City of Toledo. They have white wings on their backs, glowing halos above their heads, and beauty that makes everything on the ground look dull. Sky City of Toledo. That was new. Lucia never mentioned that. I kept my face completely blank. Never seen anything like that. How could any species actually look like that? The world is full of wonders, friend, he smiled warmly. What's your name? Jiang Ling, Jiang Ling. Which is the family name? Jiang is the surname, Ling is the name. I see. Ling, shall we exchange terminal codes? This guy was incredible. 2 minutes ago I had a gun in his face, and now he's trying to add me on Space Facebook. Say what you want about missionaries. Their networking skills are unmatched. I checked his stats again. Social, level 10. Yeah, that tracks. He rattled off his terminal code without me even asking and apologized for trespassing. The Heavenly Wing Church is very peace-loving, Ling. Please don't hold it against us. Peace-loving. On RimWorld, where people make jerky out of other people. Sure. But Ling, I do hope you'll keep an eye out for any sky spirit activity. If you find one, contact me through the terminal. We'll reward you generously. There's a reward? I rubbed my chin, deliberately looking greedy. I'll do my best. Much appreciated. I'll take my leave then. He turned to walk away. Zero fear. Completely unbothered by the fact that I could shoot him in the back. Either he was incredibly trusting or incredibly stupid. 2 steps later, he turned back. Ling, are you sure you won't consider joining the Heavenly Wing Church? That I'll pass. Thanks, though. If you change your mind, the offer stands. And he was gone. Clover slipped out of the shadows the second he disappeared. Was he here for the bird person? I nodded. Lucia seems very important to them. And I think he already suspects we have her. Then why didn't we just kill him? She made a throat-slitting gesture. Casual as ordering coffee. I rubbed her head with a tired smile. We can't make enemies everywhere. Let's head back. Back at the colony, after Clover got Lucia dressed again. I waited outside. Thank you. I went in to tell Lucia about our visitor. Heavenly Wing Church. Her brow furrowed instantly. You've had contact with them? Just one missionary. He was looking for you. I shrugged. Didn't know you had a fan club? Fan club? She scoffed. Jiang Ling, if you trust me at all, stay away from the Heavenly Wing Church. I do trust you. That's why I didn't tell him you were here. So what's the real story between you and the church? I asked. It's not as friendly as that missionary made it sound, is it? She didn't answer directly. Instead, if they had the ability to track a Marilla, why could they only detect where I crashed, but not where I am right now, lying in this shack? The implication hit me like a truck. If I'm not mistaken, that cannon shell was theirs. And my paralysis isn't just from the fall. It was built into the weapon. They shot her down. On purpose. They wanted her alive, but helpless. The church that worships sky spirits was the one who blew her out of the sky. If that's true, Lucia continued, her ice blue eyes locked on mine, then I should actually be thanking you. If you hadn't found me first, I'd either have bled to death or ended up in their hands. I stared at her. Her situation was almost identical to mine. Dropped into a hostile world, helpless, saved by the first kind person who found her. I was saved by Clover. She was saved by us. You're part of our colony now, I said. Whatever happens, I'll do everything I can to protect you. Something flickered in her eyes, barely visible, gone in an instant. She closed them. It's getting dark. I should rest, sleep well. I closed the door behind me. I had a feeling she didn't sleep for a long time after that. Day 10 of the green phase. Year 5500. Spring was 2/3 over. The air was getting slightly warmer. Slightly. I grabbed the snow cow hide that had been drying overnight. Today was the day. Real clothes. I wanted to make a snow cow leather coat. The sewing table blueprint had come with basic clothing patterns, so I had everything I needed. I spread the hide on the sewing table and got to work. Clover woke up a little later, found me sewing, and since she couldn't help, she just sat next to me, watching. For a long time. I was too focused to notice, but apparently she was studying me pretty intensely. Later she'd tell me what she was thinking in that moment. How weak I was when she found me. So weak she almost pitied me. How she was sure I'd die in 2 days on my own. How she only brought me back because I seemed harmless and she was lonely. How at first I was kind of useless, knew nothing about RimWorld, ate too much, couldn't even chop a tree. The only thing I was good for was finding berry bushes on my magic map. Oh, and my hands, which kept finding their way onto her head without permission. I finished the scarf, stood up, and presented it to Clover. Look what I made. She stared at it. A scarf, snow cow fur scarf. A gift. To return the favor for the one you gave me. I crouched down and wrapped it around her neck, loop by loop, just like she did for me. She sat perfectly still the entire time, looking straight into my eyes. Didn't move a muscle. Looks good on you, I said. How does it feel? She slowly raised her little hands and grabbed the scarf, then buried half her face into the soft blue fur. A long, quiet moment passed. It's warm, she whispered. Warmer than my old one. I smiled and turned to go back to work. Then she grabbed my hand. Tight. Not letting go. I turned back. Clover? Something wrong? She didn't answer. She just lifted my hand and placed it on top of her head. She looked up at me with her eyes curved into little crescents and gave me the most radiant smile I've ever seen in my life. Like sunshine, like she was glowing from the inside. And she said something strange, being alive is really nice. I froze for a second. Then I rubbed her head gently and didn't ask what she meant. I just answered her. Yeah, being alive is the best thing there is. So let's stay alive together, okay? She pressed her lips together, paused, then nodded hard. I worked through the entire morning, and by noon I'd finally finished my snow cow leather coat and a pair of leather pants. A few patches here and there because I'd never sewn clothes before, but who cares? I had real clothing. Warm, thick, actually covering my body clothing. I put them on and felt like a new man. 3 days in a shredded shirt and shorts in early spring. Never again. Clover was out scavenging near the colony. Good. I checked the system map, just wandering around picking up random useful things. Classic Clover behavior. Now then, next up was forging production tools and working toward that geothermal generator. Wait. I looked at the sun. High noon. My eyes went wide. I forgot to feed Lucia. She'd been lying in that shack since last night. No breakfast. No water. Just lying there. Paralyzed. Staring at the ceiling. Starving. I sprinted to the shack and skidded to a halt at the door. Knocked. Silence. Knocked again. Nothing. I opened the door. 2 ice blue eyes stared at me from the darkness like a ghost from a horror movie. I was starting to think, she said, her voice flat and deadly, that you planned to starve me to death in here. She was sulking. That's why she didn't answer my knocks. She was giving me the silent treatment. I was sewing clothes all morning and lost track of time. I scratched the back of my head. You could have called me through the terminal. You know, do I look like the type of person who begs for food? She said this like it was a virtue. Like being too proud to ask for help while slowly dying of hunger was a character strength. I grabbed some berries and sat down next to her. Okay, my fault. I'm sorry. Open up. She was not done being angry. Someone promised yesterday that they'd protect me no matter what, and today they left me to starve MMPH. I shoved a berry in her mouth mid-sentence. Perfectly timed. She chewed it with visible irritation, then closed her eyes, opened her mouth, and waited for the next one, sulking and eating at the same time. Honestly, her being mad at me like this actually made me happy. It meant she was comfortable enough around me to show emotions beyond cold indifference. A few days ago, she treated our relationship as purely transactional. Now she was pouting at me for being late with breakfast. Progress. After her very late breakfast, the anger faded and she asked what my next plans were. Build production tools. Try to get the geothermal generator done as soon as possible. Electricity would change everything. Faster weapon forging, better sewing equipment, all of it. But I didn't have nearly enough components or materials for a generator yet. The biggest problem was still the same one as always. Labor. I was one guy doing the work of an entire construction crew. For now, build the basic tools first, gather raw materials, and ask Clover if she's picked up anything I can decompose into components. Baby steps. That's all this colony runs on. Baby steps and berry jam. Lucia agreed that prioritizing electricity was the right call. But she also saw the elephant in the room. You're severely understaffed, aren't you? I sighed. Too much to do, not enough hands to do it. It's killing me. No colony is built overnight. Yours is actually doing better than most. She tried to be encouraging, then added, there are plenty of refugees and wanderers on RimWorld. If you can guarantee food, most of them would happily join you. Good advice. Except I hadn't actually seen any refugees or wanderers. Probably because people wandering alone on RimWorld tend to become food before they become colonists. Before leaving, I looked around Lucia's cramped shack. Want me to move you somewhere bigger? Our cabin has plenty of space. Just imagining lying paralyzed in that tiny box all day made my claustrophobia act up. But she refused immediately. This place is fine. It's quiet, private, good for meditation. Besides, as your colony grows, you'll get visitors from other settlements. I'd rather they didn't know I exist. Visitors? Not every colony on RimWorld is hostile. Some send out trading caravans. If you meet one, try to build a relationship. It'll help you a lot down the road. Trading caravans. Even in this lawless wasteland, commerce finds a way. Though any group strong enough to run a caravan in this world must be seriously powerful. I spent the afternoon building a manual forge. The goal was a mining pickaxe for future or collection. Manual forge means old-school forging. And old-school forging with twig body means absolutely no hammer swinging. I had to melt the iron in the furnace and pour it into a mold instead. Even that nearly killed me. Just keeping the furnace hot enough to melt iron was backbreaking work. By sunset, when Clover came back with an armful of berries, I had finally produced one iron pickaxe. I looked at it, then collapsed flat on the ground, drenched in sweat, gasping for air, soul leaving body. I need that electric forge. If every single tool costs me this much suffering, I'll be dead before the colony has 10 items. Clover rushed over with berries. Good work. I inhaled them and sat up. Clover, do you have anything I could take apart for components? Components. Hold on. She thought for a moment, then walked behind Lucia's shack. She came back, carrying something almost half her size. I looked at it. Even a guy from the 21st century could recognize it. That was an air conditioner outdoor unit. She dropped it on the ground and went back for more. A broken prosthetic limb, unidentifiable machine parts. And, was that a small robot? Clover. Wait, I stared at the growing mountain of junk. Where did you get all this? Found them while gathering food. I thought they might be useful someday, so I brought them all back. And where were you hiding all of this? She tilted her head like the answer was the most obvious thing in the world. Buried in the dirt, of course. Buried. In the dirt. I opened the system map. The ground behind the shack, previously smooth and flat, was now riddled with holes. I looked at Clover's hands. Her tiny fingernails had dirt packed into every crevice. She's a mouse. She's literally a mouse. She hoards junk and buries it in the ground. Even her scavenging instincts are mouse instincts. I patted her head. Thank you, Clover. Seriously, she shook her head. As long as it helps. It helped more than she could possibly know. I started sorting through her treasure pile, decomposing the useless stuff and salvaging everything else. I picked up the little robot. Heavier than it looked, needed both hands. Shaped like an oversized disc with a tray on top, like a giant Roomba. 2 mechanical arms extended from the sides. Could Lucia fix this? Worth asking. After decomposing everything I didn't need, the component shortage for the geothermal generator was solved. All thanks to Clover and her beautiful, beautiful trash hoard. The only thing I still needed was iron. The system map showed an iron ore deposit to the east, and conveniently, a geothermal vent nearby. Perfect spot for the generator. But the sky was already getting dark. Mining would have to wait until tomorrow. However, there was one more thing I wanted to try. I grabbed the robot, marched excitedly to the shack, and pushed open the door. Lucia, check this out. She glanced at it for exactly 1 second. That's a transport bot. It's broken beyond repair. Scrap it. 1 second. She didn't even let me finish holding it up. My excitement evaporated like water on a hot stove. Intelligence level 20, everybody. Identifies and dismisses your hopes in under a second flat. My excitement died instantly. No chance of fixing it. The mechanical core is completely dead. It's just an empty shell. You'd spend less time building a new one from scratch. Lucia didn't even blink. Besides, you don't even have electricity yet. Stop dreaming about robots. Fair enough. I wasn't really expecting much anyway. I just got excited seeing an actual piece of futuristic technology for the first time. Like a kid spotting a giant toy in a store window. But the trip wasn't wasted. Lucia had something to tell me. From the sounds outside, you've gathered enough materials for the geothermal generator? Components are covered. Just need iron. I'll mine some with Clover tomorrow. I stretched, feeling genuinely relaxed for the first time in days. Major bottleneck cleared. Things were looking up. Then Lucia's voice went cold. Get the electrical system done as fast as possible. Then prioritize weapons. I'd never heard her this serious. What's going on? I intercepted a transmission. A tribe of flame demons is raiding across the region. They've already flattened 2 colonies. My relaxed feeling evaporated. Their active zone is to the south of your colony. What kind of species are flame demons? I asked, my face already stiff. Technologically primitive, but extremely violent. Their main feature is they can breathe fire. Because of course, fire-breathing raiders. Heading our direction. Just what we needed. The 2 colonies they destroyed were both small, poorly defended settlements. Lucia continued. Like ours? I asked. Those colonies were still much stronger than yours. In both size and numbers. I scratched my head sheepishly. Right. We're not even on the same tier as small, poorly defended settlement. We're below that. But, Lucia said, and her serious expression cracked into a sly grin. If you develop fast enough, you have a chance to fight them off. Then she added with a smirk, or you could abandon this place entirely and relocate somewhere safer. I ignored that second part. You said I have a chance? Their technology level is low. Their best weapons are basic firearms. Basic firearms. Which I also couldn't handle right now. But okay, continue. Here's the thing about Rim World. Danger and opportunity always come together, she smiled. If the flame demons keep raiding, refugees will flee in your direction. That's your chance to recruit. And if your production keeps up, I can give you weapon blueprints powerful enough to crush the flame demons. Powerful weapon blueprints from a level 20 intelligent sky angel? Now that got my attention. You could also try allying with a stronger faction and borrowing their firepower, she added. Allying with a major faction was way beyond my current ability. But those weapon blueprints? Very much on my vision board. That night, the weather decided to remind me that Rim World hates comfort. Clear skies all day. Then at midnight, downpour. Massive, relentless rain hammering everything. I lay on the bedboard staring at the ceiling. The all-wood ceiling. The all-wood ceiling that was now leaking. Drip. Right on my face. Drip. On my forehead. Drip. In my eye. After an entire day of exhausting labor, this was actual torture. The roof needs work, I muttered. Clover was curled up tighter than usual, but sleeping peacefully. I draped my leather coat over her. Then I grabbed the leftover piece of cow hide and went outside into the rain. I pushed open Lucia's shack door. Just as I feared, her situation was way worse. Rain was pouring through the ceiling and the empty window frame I'd stripped for glass earlier. Her clothes were completely soaked through. She lay there in the dark, eyes closed, breathing evenly, as if she wasn't being pelted by cold rain in a broken shack in the middle of the night. My eyes may have drifted downward for just a moment, wet white stockings clinging to pale skin in the moonlight. I looked away. Sorry. Moving on. I carefully draped the cow hide over her like a blanket. Soft, warm snow cow fur, good enough to work as bedding. I need to cover that window frame with leather tomorrow. Between the wind and rain, this was beyond unfair to her. I stood up to leave. 2 ice blue lights flickered open in the darkness. I froze. Did I wake you? No. Slept too much during the day. Can't sleep now. Her voice was cool as always. Your concern is unnecessary. We Marilla aren't bothered by heat or cold. Even if you left me sleeping outside in this rain, it wouldn't affect me. What an absurd species. But having rain constantly hitting your body must be annoying at least, right? Actually, the opposite. After being stuck in silent rooms all day, the sound and feel of nature is refreshing. She'd been staring at a ceiling for days on end with zero stimulation. Of course, some rain felt nice by comparison. Want me to take the hide back then? A pause. No. Leave it. It was thoughtful of you. I'll accept it. Lucia, Queen of, I don't need your help, but I'll take it anyway. I smiled, said goodnight, and walked back through the rain to my leaky cabin. Lay down next to Clover. She immediately sensed warmth and burrowed into me. Tomorrow, mine iron, build the generator, start the electrical revolution. All while fire-breathing demons close in from the south. No pressure. I said goodnight and closed her door. Much later, long after I was gone, I heard she whispered goodnight back. But I was already in bed by then. Next morning, the rain had stopped but the temperature had dropped hard. I reached for my leather coat and found Clover had it in a death grip. She was hugging it like a teddy bear with her little face buried in the fur. I gave it a tug. She frowned in her sleep and squeezed tighter. That coat is mine. I gave it to you as a blanket, not a boyfriend pillow. But there was no winning this fight. I sighed, flicked one of her mouse ears gently, and left the cabin coatless. After washing up, I headed to the field to check the corn. The system said first harvest takes 3 days, and today was day 2. When the field came into view, I stopped dead. The corn stalks were taller than me. Thick, green, healthy, covered in plump ears of corn. In 2 days. On an alien planet where supposedly nothing grows. I rubbed my eyes. Checked again. Still real. No pests either. Rimworld apparently doesn't have crop-eating bugs. One less thing to worry about. I was grinning ear to ear walking back to camp, planning to celebrate with a nice pan-fried steak. Then I saw my outdoor stove. Soaked. The firewood? Soaked. Everything. Soaked. Right. The rain. The rain that pounded all night destroyed my open-air cooking setup. No fire, no cooking. Berries again. Great. I chewed my sad breakfast and headed to Lucia's shack for her morning feeding. The second I pushed the door open, our eyes met, and she immediately looked away. Did I do something wrong? I asked. Why would you think that? Because you just acted like looking at me physically hurts. No, it's nothing. She stumbled over her words. Then gave up. Yes, I just don't want to look at you. Something was clearly going on in her head, but even SHE didn't seem to understand what it was. I sighed dramatically. This is the first time in my life I've worked this hard for someone, and I'm getting treated like an eyesore. Enough. I sat down next to her, grinning, and reached over to brush her bangs aside. Pressed my palm to her forehead. You're acting weird. Did you actually catch a cold last night? Cool to the touch. No fever. Also, her skin was incredibly smooth. Like porcelain. If I poked her cheek, it would probably bounce. Very tempting. Must resist. Are you done touching me? Lucia stared at me with dead fish eyes. I yanked my hand back. Haha. No fever. Good news. I told you, Marilla don't get sick from weather. Right. The noble Marilla are immune to all earthly ailments. Then please allow this humble servant to present breakfast to the Bedardin Marilla princess. Open wide, I held up a berry with my most annoying smile. Her cheeks puffed. Like a chipmunk. Like a little girl throwing a silent tantrum. I froze. That was the most adorable thing I had ever seen on that Ice Queen face. A pout. From the proud, cold, level 20, intelligent sky spirit. An actual pout. What? Are you feeding me or not? She snapped, completely unaware of what her face had just done. Ah, yes. Right. Opening. Feeding, now. I fed her the berries in a mild state of shock. My brain needed a minute to recover from that critical hit. Outside, Clover was standing in front of the shack holding my leather coat, face bright red. She'd woken up and realized she'd been cuddling my coat all night like it was a stuffed animal. The embarrassment was radiating off her. I said nothing about it. Just took the coat, put it on, and smiled. Let's go, Clover. Mining day. She nodded hard, clearly grateful I didn't bring it up. Let's go. We headed east. The grass thinned out as the terrain changed, and before long we were standing in front of a massive rock wall. The system map showed it was actually a single enormous boulder, probably a meteorite that crashed here ages ago and got swallowed by nature over time. And inside it, iron, loads of it. I rolled my shoulders, gripped the pickaxe, swung it into the rock face with everything I had. Mining time. 3 colonists. 1 can't move. 1 can't cook. 1 can't swing an axe without nearly crying. But we've got corn growing, components stockpiled, and iron waiting to be dug. Fire-breathing demons to the south. Occults searching for our angel. A leaky wooden roof over our heads. Let's build a generator. Half an hour of mining, and I was done. Finished. Deceased. I dropped the pickaxe and collapsed on the ground, wheezing like a broken accordion. Back on Earth, I worked construction for 2.5 years. I was on job sites every day. I was strong. I had stamina. Now, my arms are sticks, my lungs are paper bags, and I run out of breath picking up a rock. 3,000 years in a freezer pod apparently turns your entire body into a joke. Clover watched me gasping on the ground for a respectful moment, then silently picked up the pickaxe. She walked up to the ore vein, raised the pick, and clang. A chunk of iron fell clean off. Then she adjusted her stance. Clang, 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 clang. The pickaxe turned into a blur in her hands. Iron chunks were raining down at her feet, like she was speed-running a mining simulator. The sound was like a blacksmith's workshop on fast forward. I sat there with my mouth hanging open. All right, her mining skill is level 5. But 5 is enough for this. She was mining like a machine. I looked at my own level 10 construction skill. Somehow it didn't feel nearly as impressive when I watched it from this angle. Whatever, Clover handling the mining meant I could focus on the generator. I grabbed a piece of ore and tried something. Decompose, white flash. The raw ore in my hand became a chunk of refined iron and a pile of stone dust. It worked. I could skip the entire smelting process. Just decompose raw ore straight into usable iron. Another massive productivity boost. I checked the map for the geothermal vent. Found it nearby, basically a hole in the ground, slightly bigger than a manhole. I walked over to inspect it, and the thing blasted a column of hot steam right in my face. Nearly cooked me alive. Good to know. Don't stand directly over the planet's angry breathing hole. I sat down at a safe distance and started assembling generator parts using the system's decompose and reshape function. Blueprint in my head, iron in my hands, and absolutely zero experience building power plants. This was leagues harder than building a wooden cabin. Every piece had to match every other piece perfectly. When two components didn't fit, I had to scrap one and redo it, wasting iron each time. I burned through an entire morning just making internal components and the basic frame. By the end, my brain felt like overheated soup. I threw down my latest attempt and collapsed. If only the system had a dump materials here, press button, building appears function. The system, as always, said nothing. Because it doesn't have that function. Of course not. That would be convenient, and this system hates convenience. I checked the time, already noon. Where did the morning go? I rushed back to check on Clover. She was sitting next to her work, face dotted with tiny beads of sweat. Next to her was a pile of iron or the size of a small mountain. Behind her, the rock face now had a person-sized hole carved into it. In half a morning, with a pickaxe, by a girl who barely clears my chest. Clover, you're incredible. Thank you. She shook her head with a small smile. As long as it helps. She was still catching her breath. My heart ached watching her. Hungry? Let me find some wood. Barbecue for lunch? Barbecue. She shot upright, exhaustion instantly forgotten. Yes. Meat. I gathered wood, built a campfire, pulled beef and berries from system storage, and started grilling. Clover sat beside me watching every flip of the meat with laser focus, waiting to be fed like a baby bird. That was fine. She'd been swinging a pickaxe for hours. She deserved to sit and wait. Meanwhile, and I wouldn't learn this until later, about a kilometer south of us, something was happening in the forest. A group of 4 colonists was staggering through the trees. All of them small. All of them with round fluffy ears and thin tails. Mouse people. Like Clover. They were injured. Every one of them. And one, a golden-haired girl, was unconscious, covered in blood, being carried on another's back. Getting colder by the minute. They were the remnants of a trading caravan from a place called Cusco, part of something called the Edelweiss Kingdom. They'd been heading south for trade when the flame demons hit them. Cargo stolen. Most of the team killed. For survivors. Soon to be 3. They were heading north. Toward us. The danger and opportunity Lucia warned me about. It was already on its way. I was handing Clover her meat skewer when my system map lit up with new contacts. Clover, hold on. We've got colonists approaching from the south. Her happy-eating face vanished like someone flipped a switch. Hand on revolver. Eyes sharp. Where? South. 4 of them. And there. Mouse people. Mouse people. She tilted her head. I tapped one on the map. Bauhinia, almond. Race, snow mouse. Shooting, level 5. Fighting, level 3. Tapped another. Bauhinia, mignonette. Race, snow mouse. Shooting, level 6. Fighting, level 10. Snow mouse. Is that a branch of your species? I asked. Clover nodded. Snow mice mostly live in cold regions. They have their own kingdom up north called the Edelweiss Kingdom. So Clover actually knows quite a bit about mouse politics. Good to know. On the map, the 4 were heading straight toward us. They'd spotted our campfire smoke. One of them appeared to be injured, being carried by another. Lucia's words echoed in my head. Flame demons raiding south of us. Refugees fleeing north. My chance to recruit. Clover, how do mouse people usually treat strangers? Generally friendly. Mice don't attack other colonies unless provoked. There are enough of us across Rim World that we don't need to fight for territory. Good. Very good. I'm going to make contact, I said. Okay, zero hesitation. Revolver out. I'll protect you. Before I could even explain my approach plan, I noticed on the map that the group had stopped. One of them, Almond, had split off and was walking toward us alone. I smiled. Looks like they're coming to us. A figure with long flax-colored hair appeared in the distance. Clover instantly raised her revolver. The figure spotted Clover's weapon and threw both hands up. Universal signal for, please don't kill me. I gestured for Clover to lower her gun and walked forward to meet the stranger. Clover stuck close behind me, still on guard. Same species or not, she wasn't letting her defenses down. We met in the middle. I looked Almond over, about Clover's height, fluffy hair that looked very pettable. She looked exhausted, voice hoarse like she hadn't slept in days. Almond looked at me and seemed relieved. Then she looked at Clover and suddenly froze for a second. Something about Clover seemed to catch her off guard, but she shook it off quickly. "Hello," she said. "I'm Almond, Jiang Ling. What brings you here?" "We need help." She dropped all pretense immediately. Smart. She could tell I was the leader. "We're a trade caravan from the Edelweiss Kingdom. We were attacked by flame demons heading south. One of our companions is badly injured and could die any moment." She pressed her palms together and looked at me with big, desperate black eyes. Flame demons. Just like Lucia predicted. And honestly, in that moment, I felt a weird flash of gratitude toward those fire-breathing monsters. They just delivered potential colonists straight to my doorstep. "You need us to treat your injured?" I asked. "Yes," she nodded frantically. "We just need to rest at your colony for a few days until she recovers. Then we'll leave immediately. We can't pay you right now, but we'll do anything you need in exchange. Please, just a few days." Then they'd leave. That was a bit disappointing. I was hoping they'd want to stay. But maybe if I played my cards right, I could convince a couple of them to stick around. Also, do anything? My brain immediately jumped to my half-built geothermal generator sitting next to a steam vent with nobody to help assemble it. The timing of this was beautiful. I thought it over for exactly 3 seconds. "Hand over your weapons first," I said. "Then bring your injured over. Trust, but verify. Colony security comes before charity." Clover would have wanted it that way, and she was standing right behind me nodding approvingly. For mouse refugees, one critical injury, a potential labor force and a connection to a northern kingdom. Day 3 of danger and opportunity come together, Lucia called it. She called it exactly. Almond didn't argue with my conditions at all. She went back to her group and returned with everyone in tow. She placed their weapons on the ground in front of me. 2 crossbows, 3 small knives, and some bolts. No guns. That's everything. "Do you need to search us?" They were truly desperate. No food, no options, a dying teammate. Surrendering weapons to a stranger was their best bet, and they knew it. I stored everything in my system space. Almond's eyes flickered when she saw the weapons vanish into thin air. Yeah, my storage technology gets that reaction a lot. No need for a search. "Bring your injured over." One of the mice stepped forward, short flax-colored hair, sharp eyebrows, fierce expression. She carefully lowered the blood-soaked, golden-haired mouse girl off her back. "Please," she said. The word came out like it physically hurt her pride. I studied this fierce-looking mouse for a moment. At first glance, I honestly thought she was a boy, the sharpest, most androgynous face in the group. But the voice was definitely female. Come to think of it, I've never seen a male mouse person. What do they even look like? Do they exist? This was Mignonette. Same family name as Almond, Bauhinia. Sisters. She caught me staring and glared. "You." Then she remembered she was asking for help and deflated mid-sentence. "What are you looking at?" "Just curious." "You and Almond are sisters. I'm Mignonette. 7th born. Almond is the oldest, 2 years older than me. 7th? 2 years and 7 kids? Mouse people really do live up to the species name. Huh? Grr. A tiny stomach growl interrupted us. Mignonette's face went red. We could only forage a few berries on the road. Everyone's been starving. I pulled berries from the system space and handed them to her. "All I've got right now, but it'll help. Thanks." She took them with a red face and started eating with her head down. I ruffled her short hair. Not as soft as Clover's, a bit more fuzzy, probably a snow mouse thing, but still satisfying. She didn't even react. Too busy eating. Then I felt a tiny tug on my coat. I looked down. The smallest mouse person I'd ever seen was pulling at my clothes. Even among the universally tiny mouse people, this one was a full head shorter. Black hair tangled with leaves and twigs, face smudged with dirt, huge dark eyes looking up at me. A mouse child. If regular mouse people were already pocket-sized, this was the pocket edition of the pocket edition. She stared up at me for a long time, gathering courage, and finally said in a tiny voice, "I'm hungry too." She'd been hiding behind the others this entire time. Starving. Saying nothing. Trying not to be a burden. But she saw me give Mignonette food and pat her head, and decided I was safe enough to ask. "Here." I handed her berries immediately. She whispered thanks and started devouring them. "What's your name?" "Raspberry," she mumbled between bites. While I was bonding with the mice, Clover was examining the unconscious one, Walnut. After bandaging the worst wounds, she came out with her report. "Serious infection. We need to get her back to base for proper treatment." then bed rest. Let's move. Now, I said. Every second counts. I ended up carrying Walnut on my back. She weighed almost nothing. Mouse people are incredibly light. The whole group jogged back to the colony. When we arrived, the mouse caravan looked around and went completely silent. One wooden cabin, one toilet shack, a cornfield. That was it. Their faces all said the same thing. This is a colony, 2 residents, 0 defenses, one building that looked nice and one that looked condemned. But to their credit, none of them showed any hostility. Mouse people don't bite the hand that helps them. Literally a species trait, apparently. We put Walnut on our only bed. Clover went to work with herbs and medicine. The rest of us waited outside. An hour later, Clover emerged. Wounds are treated. Almond clasped her hands together and bowed. Please save Walnut. Thank you so much. I can't guarantee anything, Clover said honestly. Her constitution isn't great. Whether she pulls through depends on her own strength. She's tough, Almond said with absolute confidence. She'll make it, then it should be fine. Clover looked at me. Medical job done. Diplomacy was my department. I stepped forward. So, per our agreement, while you're here, you work for us. Almond nodded. Until Walnut recovers, we won't leave. What do you need? Lots of things. But first, I pointed at the cabin behind me. As you can see, we only have one house. If you're staying, you'll need to build your own. Mignonette glanced at the old shack and muttered, we could squeeze into that one. And oh, no. That's Lucia's shack. The shack containing a secret paralyzed angel that nobody can know about. Absolutely not. Trust me, I said quickly, you don't want to go in there. That shack is OFF limits. I shut that down immediately. Don't go near it. Don't peek inside. Don't even think about it. The 3 mice nodded so fast their ears blurred. I could see the fear in their eyes. They were definitely imagining something horrifying locked in there. Sorry, mice. It's not a monster. It's a paralyzed angel princess who nobody can know about. But the fear works in my favor, so I'll keep the mystery alive. Almond spoke up. Building a house is no problem. If it just needs to be livable, we can have one up in a day, 1 day, for extra hands, and they could build a house in 1 day. Do you have any idea how long it took me to build mine? With my twig arms? While nearly dying of exhaustion every 30 minutes. If you need materials, come to me. I can provide stone blocks or lumber. The 3 mice sat in a neat little row, ears perked, listening to my instructions like obedient students. It was adorable. After the house is done, I'll have other work for you. But first, I paused for dramatic effect, then pulled a massive chunk of beef from the system space. Everyone's hungry, right? Today we eat beef. 3 pairs of mouse eyes went supernova. Drool was literally forming at the corners of their mouths. They'd been surviving on nothing but foraged berries for days since the flame demon attack. Almond wiped her mouth and tried to be polite. Really, we'd be fine with anything. You don't have to go this far for us. Here's the thing I didn't know yet. On Rimworld, labor is the cheapest thing that exists. Food is the treasure. Most wanderers would work themselves to death for an entire day just to get 1 serving of the cheapest nutrient paste. In Almond's eyes, I'd taken them in, treated their injured, and was feeding them meat. All they could offer back was physical labor. To her, this deal was absurdly unfair, in their favor. I didn't know any of that at the time. And even if I did, I wouldn't have cared. Can't work on an empty stomach. Come on, help me get the fire going. The mood shifted completely. Spirits high, fire blazing, meat sizzling. After a few bites of beef, Almond went completely wild, grabbed Mignonette with one hand and Clover with the other, and started singing around the campfire. In broad daylight, her voice had a nice raspy quality to it. Unique. Charming, even. The actual singing was terrible. Clover's face was pure endurance. Not annoyed, but definitely not enjoying herself. I sat by the fire, grilling meat, watching this chaos with a smile. This was the most alive the colony had ever felt. Then I noticed little Raspberry sitting alone, not eating any meat. Just nibbling on berries meant for garnish. Not eating meat. She flinched at my voice, then relaxed when she saw it was me. Meat is precious. For our little colony, we've actually got more than we can eat. If nobody eats it, it goes to waste. I held a kebab to her mouth. Here, kids need to eat to grow. She hesitated, then took the tiniest bite. She chewed slowly. Then her little body started trembling. What's wrong? It's good. Her voice cracked. She took the skewer from me and buried her face in it. eating like her life depended on it. Which, until today, it kind of did. I rubbed her messy black hair. Mignonette wandered over, having escaped her sister's singing rampage. Raspberry really likes you. She seems like a good kid. Too good. That's the problem. Mignonette's voice softened. Since the attack, she hasn't cried once. Hasn't complained about being hungry. Always eats the smallest portion so nobody else goes short. She's trying so hard not to be a burden. She explained more about mouse society. Unlike humans, mice have 3 or 4 babies at a time. Massive population, which means massive food shortages. Mouse children start working young. Many even younger than Raspberry get sent to other colonies as laborers just to feed themselves. My brain started spinning. If most mouse colonies can't feed their own people, and I had corn that actually grows on RimWorld, and a system that lets me stockpile food that never spoils. All I'd need to do is show up at a mouse settlement and say, "Work for me. I'll feed you," and they'd be lining up. But that kind of food wealth would also paint a massive target on my back. Any raider with half a brain would come for my crops. Power first. Recruitment second. That was the order. After lunch, the mice got straight to work. Zero laziness. They found suitable stones and started building immediately. Even tiny Raspberry pitched in, and her hands were surprisingly quick. Almond hauled a block of marble to their chosen building site, set it down, and wiped her forehead. I walked over and placed my hand on the marble. Decompose, white flash. The rough, irregular marble block transformed into a neat pile of perfectly cut stone bricks. Almond's jaw dropped. She stared for a solid 5 seconds before exploding with excitement. What was that? That's amazing. Just a minor function of our technology, I said casually. Minor? You just skipped the entire stone-cutting process. Your home planet's construction must be incredible. Her ears were twitching with pure excitement. Meanwhile, I was thinking, yes, Almond, my home planet was pretty good at construction. I would know. I was unemployed from it. My home planet's construction. Well, it's been over 3,000 years. I have no idea what Earth looks like now. But based on my memories? Yeah, pretty impressive. Almond was connecting the dots in her head, storage technology, decomposition processing, all construction-oriented tech. She probably thought my home world was some kind of infrastructure paradise. She's not entirely wrong. We did have good construction. I was just unemployed from it. By the way, Almond said casually while I was processing stone, "Is Clover your wife?" I froze mid-decompose. Why would you think that? Well, there's only one house with one double bed, and it's just the two of you living together. She had a point. From the outside, this absolutely looked like a married couple's homestead. One cabin, one bed, built for two. I really should have made separate beds. We're partners, I said carefully. Survival partners. She saved my life when I first arrived. Without her, I'd be dead. Almond nodded, then added something that caught me off guard. Still, Clover seems very close to you. That actually surprises me. Why? I get along with Raspberry and Mignonette too, and we just met. Almond shook her head. Clover is special, different from normal mice. Someone like her doesn't get close to people easily. That's why your relationship with her surprised me. She could tell there were things Clover hadn't told me yet, so she didn't say more. Special, huh? Even without Almond telling me, I'd felt it. Why was Clover alone? Why did she spend a whole winter by herself? With intelligence at only level 4, but combat skills through the roof. Where did those come from? I wasn't going to ask. When she was ready, she'd tell me. With my decompose ability helping with stone cutting, the mice built their house at incredible speed. By sunset, a proper marble house was standing right there in our colony. I looked at its smooth, polished walls and felt jealous. This was nicer than my wooden cabin. They built a better house in 1 day than I built in 2. We made it extra sturdy, so you can use it after we leave, Almond said. Thoughtful. Very thoughtful. Want us to renovate your wooden cabin too? She offered. This girl was desperate to prove her worth. She didn't want to look like a freeloader for even 1 second. Save it for tomorrow. I have important work for you then. Get some rest tonight. Yes, she nodded like a soldier receiving orders. After they moved Walnut into their new house, freeing up my bed, thank you. The day finally wound down. Once I confirmed everyone was settled, I grabbed food and headed to the Forbidden Shack for Lucia's evening feeding. I pushed the door open. Ice blue eyes met mine immediately, but this time she didn't look away. You had visitors today, a mouse trading caravan. Attacked by flame demons. They want to rest here until their injured member recovers. Then leave. Leave? She gave me a knowing look. You're okay with them just leaving? Of course not. I've been trying to get them to stay all day, but their leader is set on returning to their home base. Lucia was completely unbothered. Use your strengths. Some of them will want to stay. What strengths? I'm a 21st century nobody in a 56th century world. I have nothing impressive. Forget I said anything. Just be yourself with them. And don't tell them about me. Already handled. They won't come near your shack. Now open up, dinner time. I fed her and headed back to sleep. Meanwhile, far to the south, things were moving that I wouldn't learn about until later. A mysterious figure was walking through the ruins of a colony the flame demons had destroyed. Their third victim. Burned buildings. Blood everywhere. The stench of death. The figure wore a long black robe with a black cloak over it, a wide-brimmed hat hiding their face, and a sheathed sword at their waist. Pink hair peeked out from under the hat. If I'd seen that outfit, I would have thought I'd found a fellow Chinese transmigrator and immediately tried to exchange secret handshakes. But no. Beneath the cloak, a fat, slippery tail with translucent fins gave away that this person was definitely not from Earth. Some kind of fish person in ancient Chinese fashion. Rim world keeps getting weirder. The destroyed colony had belonged to the Chihuahua, a peaceful cat-eared species that loved building settlements but had weak technology. Since the cosmic wars drove outsiders to Rim world, the Chihuahua became the easiest targets. 2 of the 3 colonies the flame demons destroyed were Chihuahua settlements. As the mysterious figure surveyed the ruins, a rough voice shouted from behind the rubble. A survivor. Several flame demons emerged, orange-red skin, horns on their heads, armed with spears and machetes. They'd stayed behind to scavenge. The swordswoman in black stood alone against them in the moonlight. Something told me this story was about to get a lot more complicated. Day 12 of the green phase. Year 5500. I woke up before everyone else. The whole colony was still asleep. Clover, the mice, all of them. After days of running for their lives, the caravan crew finally had a safe place to crash. Let them rest. I slipped out of the cabin without waking Clover and took a deep breath of morning air. Corn check time. The system said the first batch should be ready today. I walked to the field and sure enough, peeking out from under the green husks, little flashes of gold. I grabbed an ear, peeled back the leaves, and there it was. A fat, gorgeous, golden ear of corn. Every kernel plump and bursting. The quality was ridiculous. This wasn't just corn. This was the platonic ideal of corn. And it's infinitely replantable. On a planet where nothing natural grows and entire colonies starve every winter. If word got out about this, every raider within 100 kilometers would come knocking. This corn wasn't just food. It was a weapon of mass recruitment and a target on my back. I picked a few ears and headed back to make breakfast. Steamed corn. Let's see how it tastes. Clover was just waking up. She stepped outside, spotted the corn on the ground, and her ears went rigid. Is that corn? The corn is ready. I nodded. Just harvested some. I'm going to cook. She didn't wait. She lunged for an ear, picked it up, and bit into it. Raw. Clover. You can't eat it raw. Too late. Her eyes went supernova. She hugged the corn like it was her firstborn child and started demolishing it at light speed, just gnawing through raw corn like a tiny fluffy chainsaw. I wrestled the half-eaten ear out of her hands. Her cheeks were puffed out like a hamster. She looked at me with betrayed eyes. You can't eat raw corn. It needs to be cooked. She forced down her mouthful and stared at the corn in my hand with desperate intensity. But it's delicious raw. Even better than beef. Better than beef? Is she serious? I popped a raw kernel in my own mouth. Chewed. It tasted like raw corn. Bland. Crunchy. Nothing special. Clover has the palate of a rodent, which makes sense because she is a rodent. But we are not eating raw corn when I have a perfectly good steamer to build. She was vibrating with the urge to grab another ear. I picked her up with one hand and set her down to the side. Sit. Stay. She sat obediently, tail whipping back and forth at maximum speed. Good girl. Patient girl. Very hungry girl. I whipped up a quick steamer using the decompose function and got the corn going. Within minutes, the most incredible aroma started spreading across the entire colony. Clover's tail went into overdrive. The stone house door opened. Almond appeared, rubbing her eyes. Voice still that signature raspy morning tone. What's cooking so early? It smells amazing. steaming corn. Almost ready. I could see her brain working. She'd eaten artificial corn before, the standard Rimworld version that tastes like limestone wrapped in rubber. Zero juice, zero flavor. Only good for filling your stomach. So why did my corn smell like this? She sat down next to me, staring at the steamer with growing curiosity. How's Walnut doing? I asked. Her ears drooped slightly. Much better, actually. Thank you. No need to thank me. This is a fair trade. Your labor for our help. That's the deal. She turned to look at me, that half-smile I apparently always wear, making an obviously lopsided deal sound completely reasonable and normal. You're a strange person, she seemed to be thinking. One by one, the rest of the mice woke up, drawn out by the smell. An entire colony, gathered around a steamer, waiting for corn. We'd come a long way from a toilet shack and a handful of berries. Morning, big bro Jiang, Mignonette greeted me cheerfully. Gone was yesterday's prickly attitude. Now I was, big bro. One day of food and shelter, and I got a promotion. Little Raspberry peeked out shyly. Good morning. Big brother, one day? That's all it took to win over these mice. Feed them beef and pat their heads. The Jiang Ling recruitment method, embarrassingly simple. The corn was ready. I lifted the steamer lid, and the aroma hit like a wall. Every mouse in the vicinity started swallowing drool simultaneously. 2 ears each. If you're still hungry, fill up on berries. Clover snatched her 2 ears and sprinted to a corner like a squirrel hoarding nuts. She was already gnawing before her, but hit the ground. Almond took hers and had a blow on it. Too hot. She stared at the plump golden kernels with visible confusion. This didn't look like any artificial corn she'd ever seen. She took a bite. She froze. Mignonette bit into hers at the same time. Same reaction. Complete system shut down. Sweet juice bursting in their mouths. Actual flavor. Real texture. Everything artificial corn isn't. Little Raspberry had no frame of reference, so she just thought it was tasty and kept happily nibbling away. She'd never had vegetables before, too low-ranking in the colony to get any. I ate my own corn and felt genuinely emotional. First vegetable since arriving in this world. God, I missed real food. If only I had rice. System, you got any rice seeds? Hello? Rice? Silence. Of course. The corn was great, but honestly, I still preferred beef. Even without seasoning. I looked around. Clover had already finished both ears and was lying in the grass, belly up, totally content. Raspberry was still nibbling, and Almond and Mignonette were, staring at their corn. Frozen. One bite in. Not eating? Don't like it. Almond snapped out of it. This is corn, I smiled. What else would it be? Her brain was visibly short-circuiting. She knew this wasn't artificial corn. But natural vegetables can't grow on Rimworld. That's not an opinion. It's an established fact. Only the ultra-rich can afford natural vegetables, imported on rare interstellar ships from other planets. She had 1,000 questions. I could see them forming behind her eyes. But she swallowed every single one and just quietly ate. Smart girl. She understood that asking too many questions might cause me problems. Just eat and don't overthink it. After breakfast, I told the mice to rest while I brought corn to Lucia. Artificial corn? She glanced at it with pure disgust. Take it away. Feed me berries. I'm not eating that garbage. I never said it was artificial. I held it to her mouth with my smuggest grin. Try it. She caught the aroma. That was not artificial corn smell. She looked at me suspiciously, then took the tiniest bite. She chewed with her eyes closed. When she opened them, the Ice Queen mask had cracked. Genuine shock in those blue eyes. Natural corn? Where did you get this? Grew it. Impossible. Zero hesitation. Rimworld soil can't support crop growth. If it could, the entire universe would have colonized this planet ages ago. She was right. The inability to grow natural food was one of the fundamental reasons Rimworld was a chaotic wasteland. No agriculture meant no stable civilization. Maybe my seeds are special, I offered vaguely. Not about to explain the system. She stared at me hard, but didn't push. Can you replant them? How often do they harvest? Replantable. 12-day cycle. Natural vegetables. Replantable. 12-day harvest. On a planet where nothing grows. Even Lucia, calm, composed, level 20 genius Lucia, I could see her pulse quickening. Jiang Ling, her voice went dead serious. I straightened up. What are you planning to do with these seeds? Her heart was clearly racing. She'd originally thought my tiny colony was a speck of dust in the grand scheme of Rimworld. But a renewable natural food source? That changed everything. Stockpile food. Recruit colonists. Build up production, I said simply. Do you even understand what renewable natural crops mean on this planet? Her eyes were practically burning. With enough military strength behind it, you could unify the entire surface. Unify? The entire surface of Rim World? She looked like she wanted me to try. The angel who called our colony pathetically poor 3 days ago was now looking at me like I might be the future ruler of the planet. I know, I said calmly. But that's not what I should be thinking about right now. Right now, all I'm thinking about is how to survive, one step at a time. Corn first. World domination later. Survive first. Dream later. Unifying an entire planet sounds great on paper, but one magical corn seed doesn't make an empire. Lucia went quiet after my answer and elegantly nibbled the corn I held to her mouth. Even being hand-fed like a baby bird, she somehow made it look regal. After feeding the angel, I gathered the mouse crew and led them east to the geothermal vent. Amon figured it out instantly. We're building a geothermal generator? Exactly. It's a massive project and I can't do it alone. I need your help. I shared the blueprint with Amon through the terminal. Not exactly top-secret technology, and I needed these mice working at full speed. No problem. She pounded her flat little chest with confidence. They got to work immediately, and I just stood there, watching, looking for something to do, finding nothing. All the materials were pre-processed. The mice had the blueprint. 3 tiny mouse workers were moving like a full-scale engineering crew. Faster than me, more efficient than me, didn't even need me there. I felt simultaneously proud and useless. Mignonette jogged past me. Big bro Jiang, we've got this. Why don't you go take care of Walnut? Fair point. Someone needed to watch the patient, and Clover had been doing it all morning. I headed back. At the colony, Clover was pacing outside the stone house looking anxious. She'd been worried about me going off alone with the new mice. The second she saw me, her face softened. You're back. They don't need me over there. I'll take over Walnut duty. Also, the corn needs harvesting and replanting. I'll do the corn. She volunteered so fast I barely finished my sentence. Her golden eyes were practically begging. 2-star passion for farming. Right. She loves planting things. I rubbed her head. All yours. She bounded off toward the field like she'd been released from a cage. What I didn't realize then was that Clover wasn't just excited about corn. She was feeling a quiet crisis. With the new mice handling construction and mining, the only things she could contribute were farming and killing people. That was her entire skill set. She wanted to be useful to me, and corn was one of the few ways she could be. I walked into the stone house. Walnut was lying on the bedboard in the corner, golden short hair, small frame, bandages everywhere, like a broken porcelain doll. I sat down and checked her stats. Bellflower, Walnut. Race, Snow Mouse. Shooting, level 17. Fighting, level 2, 17. Double star talent. 1 level higher than Clover's shooting. This tiny, unconscious, blood-covered mouse girl was an even deadlier sniper than my personal bodyguard, but level 2 fighting. Lower than mine. The most extreme specialist I'd seen yet. Pure range devastation, 0 close combat. Men, Walnut stirred. Her eyes cracked open, unfocused, glazed, still half in dreamland. Then her body started thrashing. Arms reaching up, trying to get off the bed. Mumbling in a panicked voice. Flame. Demons. Run. Run. PTSD. The attack was still playing in her head. I pressed one hand on her shoulder to keep her down and gently stroked her forehead with the other, brushing from her hair down to her ears. It's okay. No flame demons here. You're safe. Whether she actually heard me or just felt the warmth, she gradually stopped struggling. Her eyes found my silhouette, lingered for a moment, and then closed again. Back to sleep. Good sign. She was responding to stimuli. Still not fully conscious, but she was fighting her way back. I smoothed her golden hair one more time, confirmed she was settled, and stepped outside. With nothing else urgent to do, I remembered the weapons I'd confiscated from the mice. Pulled out one of the crossbows from system storage. Tiny, like a children's toy. The trigger was so small my fingers barely fit, but the bolt gleaming on top was razor sharp. Definitely lethal. Just mouse-sized lethal. The second crossbow was bigger, human-sized. Rougher craftsmanship, but it fit my hands. I set up a crude practice target, a hay and wood dummy shaped like a person. Stepped back, loaded a bolt with clumsy fingers, aimed, and fired. THWIP, dead center in the chest. The whole target wobbled. I walked over and yanked the bolt out. Completely undamaged. Reusable ammo. Perfect for practice without wasting resources. Crossbows aren't guns, but for a guy with level 3 shooting who can't afford to burn real bullets, this was ideal. So that's how I spent the rest of the day. Shooting targets in my backyard. Between rounds, I threw together some tables and chairs and put them in our cabin. Colony leader activities. Babysitting an unconscious sniper, practicing medieval weaponry, and interior decorating. Day 12. Generator under construction. Corn harvested and replanted. Mouse workforce operational. Angel fed. No one tried to eat me. I'll call that progress. I'd been wanting to make furniture for ages. Eating on the ground every day with Clover felt wrong on a spiritual level. Finally had some free time to put together tables and chairs for the cabin. Checked the map. The mice were building that generator at ridiculous speed. The frame was already taking shape. At this pace, it'd be done tomorrow. I pulled a bolt from my practice target and was about to reload when the system pinged. Warning, Wolfen merchant caravan passing through. Wolfen? I opened the map. For figures moving south along the northern edge, each armed, with horses carrying cargo. And their little map icons had wolf ears and fluffy tails. Tails pointing down, so definitely wolves, not dogs. I tapped the leader's profile. Sonia Mona. Race, Wolfen. Shooting, level 9. Fighting, level 11. I stowed the crossbow and sprinted to find Clover. On the way, I messaged Lucia through the terminal. Wolfen trading caravan nearby. Going to make contact. Her reply came fast. Go ahead. Wolfen factions are military-industrial. Their caravans usually sell weapons. Buy something if it's good. Weapons. For sale. My heart rate jumped. I checked my savings. About 500 silver total. Hopefully enough for a gun. I grabbed Clover from the cornfield and we headed toward the caravan. They'd already spotted our colony and stopped to look. What a pathetic settlement. I could practically hear them thinking it. Then their leader, Sonia, grinned and started walking toward us. Now, let me describe Sonia. She was tall, almost my height, dark green hair, matching her wolf ears and meticulously groomed wolf tail. An eye patch over her right eye that somehow made her more attractive, and a body that was generously proportioned. Her oversized jacket did nothing to hide the situation up top, and the tight shorts below left one bare leg and one in black stockings. She was pure predatory charisma in wolf girl packaging. She opened her arms wide as she approached. Hey there. New to RimWorld, I kept my best poker face. Just arrived. Heard Wolfen military equipment is top tier around here. Came to see if you have anything I need. Her silver eye sparkled. She lunged forward and wrapped me in a full bear hug. Huh. You came to the right person. Behind me, I felt Clover's tail go rigid. She was half a second from drawing her revolver and solving this diplomatically with violence. Behind Sonia, her crew was whispering. There she goes again. First time I've seen her hug a male, though. Usually it's only women. He's just really clean looking, I guess. Never seen a human colonist this pretty. Could almost pass for a girl, honestly. Shame about no tail. I was standing there with my smile frozen solid, very aware of two extremely soft objects pressed firmly against my chest. When she finally let go, I managed. You're very friendly. Friendly sells weapons. I'm Sonia. Sonia Mona. Jiang Ling. Beautiful name. She slapped my shoulder so hard I felt it in my skeleton. So what are you buying? Melee or ranged? She definitely didn't remember my name. Ranged. Long range if possible. Long range means sniper rifle. Darling. The brown-haired wolf girl, Darling, immediately ran to the horse and pulled out a sniper rifle. Sonia took it one-handed and presented it to me. Standard issue sniper rifle. Armor penetration rated at 38% ring value. Only 530 silver. Comes with matching scope, maintenance kit, and 2 magazines. I had no idea what ring value meant, but bigger percentage probably meant more punching power. The rifle felt incredible in my hands. Sleek. Silver-toned barrel. My inner child was screaming. But 530 silver. I had 530 silver short. I kept my face neutral, pretended to inspect the gun like I knew what I was looking at, and asked, got any assault rifles? Of course. Darling. Coming. Darling swapped the weapons faster than a pit crew. Sonia handed me an assault rifle. Standard assault rifle. 16% armor penetration. 480 silver. Same bonus package. 480. That was within budget. But it would drain almost everything I had. I stared at the rifle, doing mental math, trying not to look as conflicted as I felt. One gun. All my money. Welcome to the Rim World economy. Sonia read me like a book. She could tell I wanted the gun, but was sweating over the price. We also accept meat as payment, she grinned. If your colony has any, we'll buy it. Wolfen are carnivores apparently. Meat is their main diet, and their colonies buy it in bulk from others every season. Meat. As currency. My system space was loaded with leftover snow cow beef that would never spoil. I was basically sitting on a bank vault of steak. You take beef? If it's fresh enough, 12 silver per pound. Non-negotiable. But we can only take 10 pounds. We're heading south and meat spoils on the road. 10 pounds. 120 silver. That plus my 500 would cover either gun. I turned to Clover. Which do you prefer? Sniper rifle or assault rifle? Obviously the gun was for her. Giving me a gun would be like giving a toddler a sports car. Clover looked at me. Your call. No. You pick. Then. Sniper rifle. Stealth. Efficiency. One shot, one kill. Pure Clover logic. Sonia clapped her hands. Your mouse wife has great taste. We'll get it ready, wife. Clover's entire body went stiff as a board. Her face turned the color of a ripe tomato. From the ears down. Every single centimeter crimson. I coughed twice and pulled a big chunk of beef from system storage. Here. Weigh this. Sonia didn't even use a scale. Just hefted it one-handed. Very fresh. Just over 10 pounds. I'll call it 130 silver. That leaves 400. First transaction with a new trading partner. I wasn't going to haggle. Paid the 400, deal done. You're quick. Let's swap terminal codes. Next time I pass through, I'll message you first. Deal. Before they left, I mentioned the flame demons to the south. Friendly warning. Sonia's eye narrowed with contempt. Flame demons? Those technological cavemen can't touch us. If they run into our caravan, that's their bad luck. Her crew nodded behind her with matching swagger. Fair enough. I wasn't going to argue with a level 11 fighter packing military hardware. And if she did smash the flame demons, that would only help me. Though something told me things wouldn't go that smoothly. After the wolves left, Clover didn't even glance at her brand new sniper rifle. She bolted straight for the cornfield. Food over firepower. Every time. She worked until afternoon, then found me at the target range. All the corn is harvested and stacked. Great work. Did you replant the seeds? She tilted her head, confused. There aren't any seeds left. OH. Right. She didn't know these were natural corn. She thought they were artificial, one-use seeds. Every colonist on Rim World thinks that's how farming works because that's all they've ever known. Had she been eating this corn thinking it was artificial this entire time? She clearly knew what artificial crops were. She'd just never tasted one before. So she had nothing to compare it to. I walked her to the field. She'd cleaned it spotlessly, even stacked the stalks neatly, and showed her the process. Step 1. Take kernels off the corn. Step 2. Dig a small hole. Step 3. Put kernel in hole. Step 4. Cover with dirt. Done. That's it. No fertilizer. No irrigation. No special treatment. Just plant it and it grows. Even I was stunned by how simple it was. This was not how farming worked back home. Clover watched me pluck a kernel from a harvested ear and plant it back in the soil. Her eyes went wide. I could see her entire understanding of agriculture collapsing in real time. You can grow more. From the same corn. Forever? Got it. The rest is yours. She nodded repeatedly and got to work with renewed energy. While she planted, I noticed her farming skill had already risen from level 3 to level 4. And I still had that farming skill trainer the system gave me. She loved farming. She was good at it. And honestly, aside from farming and combat, she didn't feel like she had much else to offer. This was her thing. When she finished, she ran up to me, face streaked with dirt she'd accidentally smeared while wiping sweat. Big golden eyes shining, tail wagging, waiting for praise. All done. Amazing work. Go wash your face, and I've got something for you. She came back sparkly clean. I held out the skill trainer, the white brick. Know what this is? Head tilt. Nope. It's a skill trainer. It'll boost your farming ability. Come sit next to me. She sat down without a single question. I placed the device on the back of her head. Don't move no matter what happens, okay? The trainer clicked, shifted shape, and clamped onto her skull. New sniper rifle. Upgraded farming skills. Renewable corn empire. Day 12 was a very productive day. Clover felt the sting, but didn't flinch. Not even a twitch. Complete trust. Moments later, farming knowledge flooded her brain. I watched her stats on the panel. Planting skill jumped straight from level 4 to level 6. The cornfield was officially her domain now. She blinked a few times, amazed. That thing is incredible. One-time use, though. Scrap metal after that. I decomposed the trainer and pocketed the silver and components. After blowing 400 silver on a sniper rifle today, I was painfully aware that money matters. Need to stockpile more. At sunset, the mouse crew returned from the construction site. I invited everyone to eat dinner in our cabin. Almond pushed open the door, saw the new furniture, and her eyes nearly popped out. Is that a dining table? She ran up to it and started inspecting it from every angle like it was a museum artifact. Wooden table and reclining chairs? We don't have to eat on the ground. Mignonette and Raspberry were staring at the chairs with pure longing. Nobody in this world enjoys eating on dirt, and apparently even basic furniture was a luxury most colonies didn't have. Dinner was grilled beef and roasted corn, meat and vegetables. My colony looked like a dump, but the food was easily top tier on all of Rim World. Almond leaned back in her chair, belly full, eyes half closed. If I ate like this every day, I want to stay in your colony forever, then stay. I didn't hesitate. I need people. You're all welcome. Her eyes flickered. She was tempted. Mignonette and Raspberry too. I could see it. But then Almond straightened up. I have to go back. The flame demons killed members of my caravan. As the leader, I owe their families an explanation. Mignonette scratched her head. I'm going with Almond. Sorry, big bro, little Raspberry whispered. I really want to stay and help big brother, but Mama is waiting for me at home. Can't win them all. Not yet. If you ever change your minds, I said, the door is always open. Raspberry's eyes glimmered when she heard that. A tiny spark of longing. Almond's expression turned serious. Jiang Ling, are you really staying here? The flame demons are moving north. If they reach you. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. We both knew what she meant. My colony couldn't survive a raid. For now, I'm staying, I said simply. She didn't push, but offered. If you're ever in trouble, call me through the terminal. I'll do what I can. Mignonette jumped in too. If the flame demons come, one message and I'll run here personally. I smiled. They meant well. Even if their own colony barely valued them enough to send a rescue party when their caravan was dying in the wilderness. We went over tomorrow's plans. The generator would be finished. Then electrical cables needed running back to base. Almond's crew would handle all of it. Clover would mine more iron for the cables. And me? I'd stay at base watching over Walnut and Lucia. Colony manager life. Delegate everything. Feed the paralyzed angel. Babysit the unconscious sniper. Gave Lucia her dinner. Went to bed. Passed out. Day 13. Green phase. After breakfast, everyone scattered to their tasks. Colony went quiet. Just me. I fed Walnut some water, grabbed corn for Lucia, and headed to the shack. The generator finishes today? Even Lucia sounded impressed. Then you'll have electricity before summer. Summer on Rim World apparently kills people. Cooling systems are essential. I've got air conditioning blueprints, she said. But more importantly, you wanted weapons. My ears perked up. You said I could fight the flame demons. Show me what you've got. Relax. Give me a moment. She closed her eyes. Seconds later, my brain swelled with new information. The system chimed in simultaneously. Received, mechanical processing blueprint. Received, firearms manufacturing blueprint. Detected early unlock of firearms technology. Bonus, skill trainer, shooting, X1, skill trainer, fighting, X1, firearms. Manufacturing. I could build guns now. Lucia opened her eyes. First, build the mechanical processing workbench. Once production is stable, I'll give you the next set of blueprints. I was still standing there with my brain on fire, trying to absorb everything she'd just dumped into my head. Mechanical processing. Gun manufacturing. 2 bonus skill trainers. The angel just handed me the arms industry. Day 13 was barely an hour old, and I was already planning to become a weapons manufacturer. This colony's growth trajectory was going from 2 idiots in a shack to military-industrial complex at a speed that should probably concern someone. The mechanical processing workbench needed electricity to run. Once powered, it could manufacture guns and bullets. Bullet materials were common on Rim World, easy to find everywhere. It could even make ammo for the sniper rifle. The manufacturing process was semi-automated, so bullets were straightforward. Guns were more complex, but still within my ability. Nothing fancy though, bolt-action rifles, pump shotguns, revolvers like Clover's. Basic stuff. But apparently the flame demons were working at this exact technology level, so matching them was the goal. The sniper rifle I just bought from Sonia was clearly a tier above all of this. Good to know we had at least one premium weapon. After absorbing everything, I smiled at Lucia. Thanks. Really, you helped me through my illness, I give you blueprints. It's a transaction, she said it coldly, but her eyes were looking anywhere except at me. I didn't notice. I was staring at her wings. They looked droopy, less fluffy than before, like flowers wilting without sunlight. She'd been locked in this dark shack for days with zero natural light. Of course her feathers looked sad. Why'd you go quiet? She asked. Nothing. Just thinking. Get some rest. I left. Behind the closed door, I'm pretty sure she sighed. But I was already gone. Back at base, I checked on Walnut. Still unconscious, but something was different today. She was having nightmares. Bad ones. Thrashing on the bed, mumbling through clenched teeth. I could catch fragments. Flame. Demons. Run. She was reliving the attack. Running through dark forests in her mind, chased by red-skinned horned monsters. Watching her friends catch fire and burn alive. The moment she threw herself in front of a spear aimed at Almond. I sat beside her, pressed one hand gently on her shoulder, and stroked her forehead with the other. It's okay. No flame demons here. You're safe. She calmed down. Her body relaxed. Her breathing steadied. Whatever nightmare she was trapped in, my voice seemed to reach her. She settled back into peaceful sleep. I left her to rest and went back to crossbow practice outside. Shot after shot, getting a little less terrible each time. Then I heard a quiet voice behind me. Your right hand is too stiff. You don't need to raise it that high. I nearly jumped out of my skin. Spun around, and there was Walnut, golden hair, bandages everywhere, standing in the doorway of the stone house, watching me with calm amber eyes. You're awake? She looked at me for a long moment. Something flickered across her face, not recognition exactly, but familiarity. Like she knew my voice from somewhere, but couldn't place it. Where's Almond? She asked. No hostility. No wariness. Not even a single trace of suspicion toward a complete stranger. She just looked at me and decided, with absolute certainty, that I wasn't a threat. I could tell. She couldn't generate even a single ounce of guard against me. She just trusted me on instinct. Must be because I was the one talking to her through her nightmares. My voice anchored her. She didn't know it consciously, but somewhere deep down, her brain had filed me under safe. They're out building a generator for me. I'll message them right now. But you, back to bed. Your wounds aren't healed. I put away the crossbow. You've barely eaten in days. Let me make you something. She glanced down at her own stomach. Flat as a board. Completely empty. She nodded quietly. She turned to walk back to bed on her own. 2 steps in, her legs buckled. I lunged forward before she hit the ground. Colony medical ward status. 1 paralyzed angel in the toilet shack, 1 battered sniper who can't walk straight. And their doctor is a mouse girl who's currently farming corn. We're doing great. I caught Walnut just before she hit the floor. You can barely walk and you're trying to do it alone. Her mouse ears twitched. Sorry. Could you just carry me back? I sighed and placed her back on the bed. I'll make you something to eat. Stay put this time. Thank you. Almond already thanked me about 100 times. You're covered. Here, have some berries while you wait. I left her nibbling berries and went to steam some corn. She'd been unconscious for days with zero food. She needed real nutrition. 30 minutes later, I came back with 2 steaming ears. Careful, they're hot. She took them but didn't eat right away. Instead, she looked at me. I'm Walnut. Bellflower family. What's your name? Jiang Ling. She repeated it several times under her breath. Jiang Ling, Jiang Ling. Okay, I'll remember that. I studied her properly for the first time while she was conscious. Gentle demeanor. Golden hair matching her soft personality. Black and colored eyes. Spoke in a quiet, delicate voice like a noble lady from an old painting. Absolutely impossible to reconcile with her level 17 shooting stat. This girl could snipe a fly off a moving target, and she looked like she'd apologize to the fly first. She bit into the corn. Her eyes widened. This isn't artificial? I just smiled. She didn't ask further. Hunger won over curiosity, and she demolished both ears at a speed that would have made Clover proud. She lay back on the bed, patting her belly. Haven't eaten like that in forever. Then she turned to look at me standing by the bed, and something crossed her face. A flicker, like deja vu she couldn't quite place. I messaged Almond. They'll be here soon. Rest up. I turned to leave. Jiang Ling, I looked back. She smiled softly. Thank you. I told you, Almond already. This one is from me. Personally, something about the way she said it, and the warmth in her smile, felt like more than a standard thank you. Like she was thanking me for something specific that I didn't fully understand yet. She remembered. The nightmare. The darkness. The flame demons chasing her. And at the very end, a voice telling her she was safe. My voice. She knew it was me. She just didn't say it. Shortly after I left, I heard crying outside the stone house. The door burst open and Almond flew in like a sobbing missile. Walnut, she threw herself at the bedside, blubbering. I thought, you were going to die? Wah. Walnut patted Almond's head gently. I'm fine. Don't worry. Mignonette and Raspberry stood at the door, clearly happy, but keeping their composure. Then Walnut's expression dimmed. Is it just the four of us left? Almond wiped her tears and nodded. Everything was taken. Half the caravan died. As leader, it's my responsibility. It's not your fault, Walnut said immediately. Everyone knew that. Nobody could have predicted fire-breathing maniacs ambushing a trade route. But Almond was set on going back. To face the families. To take whatever blame they'd give her. This colony is safe, Almond said. The owner is good to us. Rest here a few more days, and once you can travel, we'll head back to Cusco. Walnut stared out the door at the colony for a quiet moment. Then nodded. Okay. Day 14. Green phase. The geothermal generator was finished this morning. First major infrastructure project, complete. I spent the morning decomposing Clover's iron ore into refined iron and handing it to the mouse crew for cable laying. Electrical lines running from the generator all the way back to base. Meanwhile, I stayed at the colony building electrical equipment. An electric stove. An electric forge. The mechanical processing workbench needed some specialized parts that only a powered forge could produce, so everything had to happen in sequence. Clover couldn't help with any of this, so she went scavenging around the perimeter. Her hoarding instinct was alive and well. Even with food secured, she still couldn't resist picking up every random object she found. On RimWorld, that's probably a survival trait, not a quirk. I was deep in construction when Walnut wandered outside and sat down nearby, just watching me work, quiet as a ghost. Should you be out of bed? I asked. I can walk now. Just wanted some sun. Sunday. Right. That reminded me. A certain angel had been trapped in a dark shack for over a week. Her feathers were literally wilting from lack of sunlight. I needed to get Lucia outside eventually, but not until the mouse crew left. Nobody could know about her. Walnut stood up and started slowly walking around the colony. She stopped at a patch of grass beside the stone house and said something that caught me completely off guard. Jiang Ling, do you think it would look nice if we planted some flowers here? Flowers. In this brutal, lawless, fire demon-infested wasteland, this girl was thinking about flowers. And honestly, I love the idea. In a place with zero entertainment and constant survival stress, waking up to a flower garden every morning would be genuinely therapeutic. That sounds great actually, but I've never paid attention to what grows around here. Know any good flowers?